Are we recording already?
Yeah.
Oh, is that me?
Um, hey, Josh. Hey, Josh Morris, can you hear me? Okay.
Hello, Lou.
Hey,
Can you hear
Josh.
me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Very good. We can hear you and see you.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Sorry if that.
No.
Just that they need to be at some distance.
Okay. Yeah, Lou. From a
Sounds like
technical
a busy.
standpoint,
Sounds like a busy meeting tonight. A lot of people so far.
you can mute who? Lou, is that okay if they mute me, or do you need me for a minute? Are we good?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Do we have a? How's our attendance today for the meeting?
Yep, we're all set. Yep. Sorry, didn't. Yep.
Okay.
We will.
I can't hear you now, so you must be muted now. Okay.
Kevin. What you doing over there?
Gosh, I'm not hearing anything quite yet.
And then they just added Fridays on in the email, and I was like, I didn't know there was a Friday.
Hello, Lou. Can you hear me?
Say Saturday, Sunday.
Yes, I can.
Very good. We're just setting up we're just setting up right now. Just all the board members just getting ready.
Okay. Are all our board members in attendance today?
Yes.
Thank you.
Why don't we maybe start in 30 seconds, 45 seconds?
Very good. Yep.
Okay. Hello. I think we're all set to get started if you are on our end.
Okay. Very good. All right, well, why don't we begin? Good evening, everybody. It's 7:03 p.m. My name is Louis George, and I'm the chair of the Danvers Planning Board. We're here for our public meeting being held at the Danvers Senior Center, 25 Stone Street. It's August 12th, 2025. As I mentioned, at 7:03 p.m. And at the outset, I did want to just want to note that I am going to be participating remotely today. I apologize for participating remotely. I did have the intention of being at the meeting in person, but unfortunately, we experienced a death in our family, and because of that, I did have to reshuffle some of my work obligations. So as a result, that's what I was not able. So I'm going to have to participate in tonight's meeting remotely. So because this is going to be at least one participant will be participating remotely, we will need to, any votes will have to be done by roll call vote. And again, so joining me today at our meeting is Jean Hartnett, our clerk, Jim Sears, Tim Spittle, and Michael DeCoulis, and also representing the town, Josh Morris, principal planner with the town of Danvers, is present today as well. And so because I will be participating remotely here, I'll have to rely on our clerk, Jean Hartnett, as well as Josh with town staff, just to make sure in terms of being able to call on people who might have public comment or that sort of thing. I just need a little extra assistance. So our first agenda item here is a discussion about the citizens' petitions that were presented at the May 2025 town meeting. And before we begin that one, just as a quick intro, as I mentioned at the tail end of our last meeting, I had been asked, Mark Zubrick had approached me via town staff to discuss the citizens' petitions that had recently been presented at town meeting. And so the discussion, even though this is not related to a specific zoning item, as the discretion of the chair, I did allow this to be added as an agenda item, so this is at the top of the meeting. So I did limit because we do have a full agenda here, I am limiting discussion on this, or at least presentation, to 30 minutes. 30 minutes with a total of 45, which would encompass any questions by members of the board. But it would be 30 minutes for anybody presenting. And so I'm not sure if we can even, if there are a number of people who do wish to present, just so everybody does have the ability to do so, maybe we could have people indicate, raising their hands, like who would be, who in the audience would be interested in presenting on this topic, so that we can at least figure out in terms of the amount of time to be allotted. So people can indicate who would be interested in speaking on this. Josh, if you can.
Just because, say Mr. Jim Morose maybe would be the first person to speak, just because he was, a signatory on one of them. But I guess we could start with Jim. We could start with you, if that's okay. Or Mark. Okay, sorry. Didn't see your name. Your hand, Mark. Sorry.
Didn't see my hand.
Okay.
Mr. George.
Well, Mr. Zubrick, why don't you go ahead and present?
Thank you very much for allowing us to have this opportunity to at least discuss and present why we did the citizens petitions and why the citizens petition was a vehicle for the residents that are concerned about the planning effort that's going on in our town, specifically in regards to the legislative action that has taken place, and that's what we're dealing with. So today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have Jim Morose come up and do his part of the presentation, then I'll do mine
Sure.
in more detail. So if that's okay with
Okay.
you, I appreciate
That
it.
sounds-
So,
That sounds fine. No, thank you, sir.
Jim, and we're going to try to limit it to 30 minutes, like you said.
Okay.
That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jim Morose, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 3. And, I was one of the leaders of these petitions. And again, it's like anything else. The citizens try to get their voices heard through these petitions. And, we're not the sharpest knives in the drawer, as the leader. We failed to hit the process points, and there's a lot of things that we missed. And during the discussions, there was a lot of things said and not said and everything else. But the bottom line is, we talk about zoning and what's the essence and what do people expect from the zoning? And so one of the things was, I mentioned during the discussions, a demographic, and some people are, oh, what's this demographic? Well, I did mention it several times, and I will do it again. And the demographic that we're highly concerned about, which is funny, the one I gave at town meeting, and the one I talked about, is population per square mile. So, I got 2020 statistics that I kind of just dug up, Google, and so in 2020, Danvers had a 2,115 people per square mile, okay? And then you compare that with Beverly has the population per square mile of 2,827. In Burlington, which is kind of our sister city, population, everything else, they have 2,244, residents, population per square mile. And I just redid it again, and now it's funny, I got 2025 statistics, right? And Danvers, this list was a little bit more comprehensive. They had 240 towns listed, and Danvers was number 71 in the rank at 1,968. So did we lose people? I don't know how that worked out. Beverly is even lower than us at 1,880 residents population per square mile. In Burlington, again, they jumped ahead of us at 2,100. So, the thing is, we're talking about smart zoning, and what is the metric? Are there any measurements? This is, density is a good measurement of how we can, there's only so much traffic Danvers can accommodate. We've already got snarls all over town. Now with this zoning, we've gone from 4 units per acre to, with special permits, variances, this blah, blah, you can have 16, 24, 36 units per acre with diminished parking, and that's all the residents are concerned about. This is just, as far as we're concerned, it's not smart zoning. It's adding insult to injury and traffic into already congested areas. The only thing that's going to be next is one-way streets and who knows what else. But again, the Zoning Board of Appeals, does a great job of holding people's feet to the fire when they come in and try to get something done. And, they'll held to feet and inches on setbacks and everything else. But yet, when they come to the planning board and get a special permit and this and that, they can get whatever they want. I mean, they hand them out the special permits left and right. And again, it's more than what's by right, okay? So that's all in addition. I mean, we just had that case on the corner of Elm Street. We had 16. By right, it was 11. We ended up with 13. But even if the building stays the same, the whole intent is they could have made the building smaller now that they don't need the other 3 or 4 units or whatever. But again, we have to add some intelligence to what we're doing here. And so that's all I'm saying. And that's all the residents want. They want to make sure that you understand that, I had talked to the planning department again about how this all worked out, and with this Danvers, strategic Danvers. I said, is there any conflict with this? Oh, no, it's not. But if we could have tied the High Street line down 128 to the, the Liberty Tree Mall, that would have taken all the area that we need, instead of going down Elm Street, going down Hobart, and all these other places. We actually went into neighborhoods. So that's what we're talking about. Mark's going to go into a little more detail. And again, I mean, there may be a housing crisis, there may not, depends on who you talk to. I mean, just because someone wants to live in Danvers doesn't mean there's a housing crisis. I mean, people want to live wherever they want to live, but, it's supply and demand. And we need to redevelop, we're going to develop things, and we need apartments and other units, but you don't go from 4 units per acre zipped up to 16, 24, 36. That's just, too fast, too much in one area. But at any rate, that's it.
I'm ready. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you can't get him away from the mic, but that's good. I'm just as bad, but what I like to do is just give you a little explanation of why these citizens petitions were filed by residents of the town of Danvers, and they were not filed by town meeting members, but they were filed by average citizen that's on the street and able to conduct business with the town meeting. So the citizens petitions are a vehicle for average people to get to the town meeting and present their case. And this is one of the vehicles where average citizens can come in to the planning board and present their case. And all we want to do today is just give you an explanation of why this happened. Citizen petitions of town meeting, why, what, how, and for what purpose this was done. The town meeting citizens petition were presented with significant discussion and debate before being defeated by town meeting. So the presentation is to give you an idea of what happened. And there were 3 citizens petitions, and they were all similar in intent, which was to rescind the MBTA law, which was imposed on us by the legislature of our state. The individuals' warrant articles or citizens petitions were slightly different. And they were all presented to the Board of Selectmen. They were all presented to the Finance Committee. They were all presented to the town meeting. And least one, which was the one about a study that should be conducted to understand what the residents are concerned about, is to be discussed at this meeting, and that's what we're trying to present to you. The warrant articles were not illegal. They were deemed legal by our town council. However, I don't think we presented them in a very clear fashion, but that's why we want to come back to the planning board to address those particular issues. They were defeated all at the town meeting, and it's a matter of getting our point of view for the community to the town meeting. Citizens petitions were 3, and I won't go into a lot of detail, but the first one was to rescind the MBTA law. And we understand, after further study, that the revisions or the implementation of the zoning that was done at the time, even before the MBTA law was passed, were conducted in an open meeting, and we appreciate that. However, it appeared at the time of town meeting that that was a forced downward issue by the legislature of our state. So that article was basically defeated because I don't think anybody wanted to rescind everything, but we needed to get the attention of town meeting and the Board of Selectmen. They also defeated it, which is fine, but at least we got our point across, and now this is a continuation of getting our point across to the planning board. Petition 2 was more lax, and it was basically to study, to explore what the issues are from the residents. And this is what I think we should have passed at town meeting, but even if it failed at town meeting, we want to bring it to you for your consideration, and I hope in the future we'll take that up, because I understand that the planning board does an annual review of what kind of transactions have transpired and what they needed to be done. The third one was basically mine, and I use a hammer instead of a chisel to get things done, because I wanted to rescind the whole thing, and that did not fly. But the problem is that as a result of what is happening at Maple Square, and the comments that are coming back, and I don't know whether you're hearing them or not, but we are hearing that it's a monstrosity, it's too big for the area, which is, it's done deal now, but we need to prevent that from happening to other areas. So what we have done is we have explored the issue of defeating this MBTA law, and there was a issue that was presented to us that other towns in the area, like Marblehead, Middleton, Tewksbury, Wilmington, Winthrop, are all challenging that MBTA law. Now, I don't know if we want to do a challenge because we participated in that in the beginning, but we need to address the specific little issues of density, traffic, and congestion of what's happening downtown. Now, one of the things that I've seen is that even the state legislature, yesterday or the day before, 19 groups filed 47 initiative petitions to propose constitutional amendments and laws with the Attorney General's office. And just for our information, 4 of these are repeal MBTA zoning, preserving local control of zoning, which is what we have lost, basically, and prevent overdevelopment, reforming the zoning process. So there are actions that are being taken by other towns and our legislators in regards to the concern that we have had as an organization of residents that care about what happens in Danvers. Recently, the planning board approved one of the future zoning developments at Essex and Elm Street. And I watched that, and many of our residents have watched that presentation, and it was very unusual because every exception that was allowed to the developer was approved by the planning board. Now, we have instituted these zoning laws. Why are we making exceptions on a regular basis? And that's not the first one, because we have had exceptions for Maple Square, Pine Street, now Essex and Elm, Danvers Hardware, and Murphy's Market. When we continue to embark on this refined proposed zoning, we need to move with caution and consider the unintended consequences of our actions. And that's what we want to bring across and see what can be done by actions of the board. You have a lot of power in your hands for delivering the projects to the developers and to the residents. The density, congestion, and parking, or lack of it, we specifically need a master plan to lead us into the future. Because what we're doing is we're doing small areas of Maple Street, High Street, and the adjacent streets, and we're allowing zoning to change or overlay into those areas, but we're not looking at the overall Danvers town development and what needs to be done. We need to define a master plan, identify the elements, and based on Mass General Law, I have a copy of the outline for a master plan, and that's something that I would like to suggest that may be something we need to consider. Okay, you're still there. That's good.
I'm still here. I'm letting you speak, and then when you finish speaking, we'll turn it over to the board if they have any
Yes,
particular
and
questions.
I have one more speaker.
Comments I wanted to make as well.
I have one more speaker that wants to address this issue. And the thing is that the future discussion regarding appointment of the planning board has something that has been discussed by the Town Charter Review. And the Town Charter Review has considered whether the planning board is representative of the town by election or by appointment. When it's by appointment, it reflects the town manager's position of how this town should be, and maybe it should be partial elected, partially appointed, because then you would be reflecting the choices and reflect the wishes of the residents because you are partially elected. Town Charter Manager Review and Evaluation are moving along. Planning Board considerations, either appointed or elected. That's my entire thing, but I would like to bring your attention to something that I found during my research on this, is Town of Danvers, Massachusetts Community Survey, which was done back in 2017. And that survey really explains the key study findings and how this town is reflected in the makeup of the residents and one of the key issues has always been traffic and congestion. So, and taxes, and my favorite subject, taxes. So that's something that we may need to look at with the Board of Selectmen. But I would suggest, and I am going to provide you with a copy of this Great Blue Town of Danvers, Massachusetts Community Survey, and has some very good findings that we should consider as Danvers residents. So now, if I may, I'd like to introduce our third speaker. And, thank you. Okay.
I think it's Ms.
I'll
Rigucci.
introduce myself. Thank you very much, Mark. Joanne Rigucci, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 2. Thank you so much for letting
evening.
us present tonight to the chair and also to the board. We appreciate your attention to this. As Mark and Jim said previously, you know, this was done out of a lot of complaints from residents that we're getting. It's not something that we just dreamt up one night to drive you guys crazy. So that's why we're here, is, and I'll get into that in my comments. But, so the idea sort of behind the petition is not to have Danvers remain stagnant. I've known there's been some pushback and some talk of that we want Danvers just to remain the same and be like it always was, and that's not true. We want the growth, but within what Danvers is. And I think that's the huge question, or the elephant that's in the room, is, so what is Danvers? So Danvers is situated 17 miles north of Boston, partially bounded by cities of Salem and Beverly. The town, with its 14 square mile area and population of 28,000, still retains much of the hominess in architecture, heritage of old New England. That is how Danvers is presenting itself in our historical pamphlet. This is what we present our town as. And I think the town's bylaws, their zoning bylaws, and what's happening now with a lot of this development is flying in the face of what Danvers is presenting itself as. Danvers isn't going to be this anymore if we continue down the road we are. Because, as you know, I was at the last planning board meeting, and several board members struggled with trying to make a decision with 17 Elm Street. It is encroaching on a neighborhood. There's going to be a lot of neighborhood issues. And I saw the struggle on their faces, and there's not much that I know the board can do, because that's the law in the books. And we need to work together to be able to change it, to make it better for everyone in town. One of the things that Danvers paid for last year was a affordable housing study. I'm told the town likes to spend a lot of money on these studies. So this is what excuse me, I have the floor. Excuse me.
Well,
I have the floor. If I
Ms.
have the
Rigucci,
floor.
please direct any points to the chair.
I have the
If there's a
floor.
concern,
If
please
you wanna-
express it to the chair.
Ma'am, I have the floor. Can you ask her to leave?
Ms.
If she doesn't
Ms.
stop,
Ms. Rigucci?
I'm trying to speak. If she doesn't stop, she needs to leave. I don't do this
Rigucci,
to other people speaking. I don't expect it when I am.
Okay.
It's out of
Ms.
line.
Rigucci is speaking, so
So
if the chair
it's the
could-
town,
The chair is recognizing Ms.
Thank you.
Rigucci to speak, so you
Thank
do
you.
have some time remaining, Ms. Rigucci, so if
Thank you. I'm
if you can
wrapping it up.
continue.
So the town.
Thank you.
It was paid for, but a couple of the highlights that came out of the study was that they saw for Danvers was long-term affordable housing ownership. What they wanted Danvers to do was to promote housing that promotes building and homeowner wealth. So that means either single-family to two-family homes, and also recommended a 5-year housing plan. Those are just very short little highlights of the survey. I'm not going to get into it. I just took those out of it for my presentation, so I don't want to get into a challenge with someone in the audience. This is our presentation, not yours. One of the other things that I'm hoping to see Danvers do is to work towards, and one of the reasons why we brought these petitions was Danvers has to work towards bringing in more businesses. Whether it's small business, whether it's larger retail businesses, to work with the owners of the Liberty Tree Mall, which honestly is looking very shabby outside lately. I think on the other side of the trampoline place, a wall fell off of that building. But I hope that the town, and maybe that's something, a conversation with the select board and the town manager, and I think that will equate more tax dollars for the town. Part of the reasoning with these zoning changes that were put forth a few years ago was that additional housing is to increase tax dollars for the town. It'll bring in more businesses, it will drive, they want to drive it that way. I'm not so sure if there should be a little more evenness of driving business as well as the housing, but with an increased budget burden with additional large-scale housing projects, it'll come to schools, it'll come to our resources, it'll come to first responders and other town resources. So those additional tax dollars will be a wash, in a sense. It's not going to equate to a huge tax windfall for the town where they can do a lot with their money. One of the other reasons, too, was we were supposed to be able to start applying for a lot of, the word forgets, I lost the word, but it was a lot of, anyways, I'm going to leave that. And I just wanted to get on to my precinct, Precinct 2. Since I have been a town meeting member for the past going on 3 years, the issues that continually rise to the top are overdevelopment, traffic, which actually has become a bigger problem, not only with volume, but with speed. And this is not only in my precinct, but it's in other precincts as well. North Street, huge speed problem. Collins Street, huge speed problem. Dayton Street, huge speed problem. There's a lot of crashes. We have a lot of people on bikes now, so there's that increased pedestrian danger. The police department with my precinct has met with in February, and some of these concerns were addressed to kind of work on them within Precinct 2, was they don't have the resources to enforce traffic like Danvers used to. So that's lack of income. So with all this increase, you're going to have less services to control our traffic and so forth. I know I'm rambling on. I kind of lost my way.
But
That's
okay,
again,
Mr. Ritchie. Actually, we are getting towards the.
Yep, I'm going to just.
I'm just giving you just a 2-minute warning.
Perfect.
with
I need 2
Mrs.
seconds.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to wrap it up. Again, thank you for your attention. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate, you letting us come in and speak for the residents that we volunteer for. We're just not here to annoy people. These are the residents that are pushing for these changes. It's not just a group of a few people sitting in the back of the room. And I know you might not see those faces in here, but I think I have a lot of precinct members here tonight who I know I see. If you guys can stand up from my precinct. I have a few. I have several. Okay. And, you know, I regularly get emails, phone calls, texts, this problem, that problem, and we need to work together, and I hope that you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rigucci.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and I hope we continue this discussion because this is something that's important for the town of Danvers, the culture of Danvers, and what is Danvers all about? So, thank you very much, and if I have any questions, I'm here to answer them if you have any.
Actually, yeah, Mr. Zubrick, why don't you stand by here? I just want to see if any of the members of the board do have any questions for you or any of the other presenters. I'll see if our clerk, Jean Hartnett, do you have any questions at all for anything that was said today, or comments?
Yeah, so I know that Ms. Rigucci had mentioned the master plan, and I know that's been something we've talked about, so we're trying to make that happen. But so what exactly are your action items for us? Or do you just want us to sort of keep this in the back of our mind, or how do you want us to move forward?
No, I think the master plan needs to be addressed. However, right now, what we're doing is patchwork on different zoning areas. And what we need to do is look at the overall, what is Danvers all about? It's not just downtown. It's the whole entire community of 14 square miles, I believe. Or, yeah, I think it's 14 square miles.
Okay.
So I do request that, yes, we do need to address that. And I am willing to come aboard and help in defining it because I've got some information from your planning department, and they are very helpful. And I have an outline of a master plan, and I have also looked at different master plans for communities that are similar to us.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. Anything else, Jean? Any other questions?
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
Very good. Tim Spittle? Tim?
No, I think my main question was Jean's, is I'm not quite sure what the objective of any questions would be at this point, since there's no action item in front of us. I would definitely encourage you all to submit another citizen's petition so we can sort of evaluate what you have next time you come around.
And that's a very appropriate approach because I don't think we're here to request things. We just want to put it on the table so you, as a board, understand what some of the residents, not all, but some of the residents have concerns, and we have identified those in our presentation and in our citizens' petitions, but that was the only way to address it at that time with town meeting. The selectmen didn't want to hear it. The finance committee didn't want to hear it. The legal department heard what we were trying to do, and they said, you're not illegal. So that was the first time in my life that the town attorney said, you're legal.
Yeah, I don't believe you were at the last meeting, Mr. Zubrick, but did you get a chance to watch the video from that?
Oh, yes, I watched it.
Yeah.
Very intensely.
Good.
And I was very surprised at the length and the way it was being conducted, because you are the committee that's in charge of approving those projects. And that's what I expected, and that's not what I saw.
I'm sorry, I meant the meeting where we discussed the citizens petitions.
No.
You did, so we discussed.
No, I was never invited. I mean, you were discussing things, but then I was
It was on
told
the agenda, Mr.
afterward.
Zubrick.
that I
was on
was
the
not.
agenda.
Well, I only asked because,
Present.
I mean, I can reiterate the point I made during that meeting, which is, you know, I am really excited to see citizen petitions. I love seeing packed rooms and hearing from people, but I think the zoning bylaws have been passed through countless meetings, supermajority at town meeting, multiple times. I think the bar is extremely high to ask to overturn that. So I would love to hear more from you and see more work from you all of what your actual proposals are and the impact you think that they'll have, but I think we need a lot more.
All you have to do is ask.
Great.
Because the residents are ready to step up. The problem is that we need an ear to hear what our complaints are. Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Tim. Michael DeCoulis?
All set, thanks.
Okay. Jim Sears?
No questions.
And then just as myself, I don't...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
No,
I don't have any questions, but just a couple of comments. And I think that in terms of the citizens petitions, and I understand, I mean, these are definitely, having been involved with them myself before, it's, you know, they're definitely a good way to get the matter before the town meeting. And so one comment I would have with respect, I know one concern that was expressed with respect to the study, study citizens petition in terms of calling for study, and it is in essence the loaded language that was in it initially that indicated that in essence had a premise of that the MBTA zoning updates were, that was exemplified by Maple Square, and I don't see that as, I think it was called out that was not altogether accurate, and moreover, using language such as to maintain demographics in town, I think that is troublesome language.
That is an impression that has been coming across by, we need to get more educated, and what I did is I have a copy of the zoning bylaws here, 269 pages plus addendums, and the thing is, I went through it in the beginning and it's very appropriate, but we're not following them. So the thing is that it's something that needs to be addressed, and I would be willing to assist in any way, and I know that other people will be willing to assist.
Okay. Well, very good. All right. I don't have any further comments. Again, aside from the fact that I do agree, and we discussed the master plan, and that's something I think that we should certainly endeavor to do in the future. So, if there are no further comments or questions by members of the board, thank you for those who did present this this evening, and thank you to the members of the board as well. Very good. So I'm going to move on. So thank you, Mr. Zubrick. I'm going to move on now to the thank you. Okay, so I'm going to move on to our next agenda item here, which is a public hearing for 165 Endicott Street. It's a request for signage waiver pursuant to section 37.2B3 of the zoning bylaw, submitted by AAM 15 Management, LLC, and Kelly's Roast Beef for property at 165 Endicott Street, map 63, lot 18. Said property is in the commercial 3, C3 zoning district. The applicant proposes a compliant third sign, where a maximum of 2 signs are allowed. Do we have an applicant here to present?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Nancy McCann here on behalf of the applicant. I did submit a letter requesting a continuance so that we can look at specifically the installation of a new signal mast arm for the project on the other side of Endicott Street may in fact interfere with the proposed location. of the new freestanding sign for which this application was presented. So we would request a continuance to your next meeting so that we can look at that and make any adjustments before we present to you. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for that. So we would like to, and so this would be our next meeting, Josh. That would be our meeting of, is that September the 9th?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. So I would like to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing on the request for, with respect to 165 Endicott Street to the meeting of September 9th, 2025. Can I have a motion on that?
I make a motion, we continue 165 Endicott Street to the September 9th, 2025 meeting.
Very good. The motion's been made. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, second by Tim Spittle, first by Jean. Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, I am going to have to do it by roll call vote. Jean Hartnett?
Yes.
Jim Sears?
Yes.
Tim Spittle?
Yes.
Michael DeCoulis?
Yes.
And I say yes. So, very good. So motion to continue to the next meeting has been passed, so we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. So let's move on to our next agenda item. Third agenda item is a public hearing, 1115, aka 31, 49 and 55 Newbury Street, to request for site plan review pursuant to Section 4 of the zoning bylaw, submitted by Costco Wholesale Corporation for properties in the Highway Corridor zoning district. The applicant proposes expansions to the existing warehouse building and to the parking lots and associated site modifications. Map 55, Lot 004, Map 55, Lot 001, Map 48, Lot 009A, Map 48, Lot 009. Do we have an applicant here to present?
Yes, good evening. Michael Capichetti, RJ O'Connell, the civil engineers on this project. Also with me tonight is John Harder from TPD, the traffic engineers on the project, and Min Kim from MG2, the architects on the project. And Josh, I think we had. Yep. So I'm going to make this rather quick. We're more than open to answer any and all questions. We were before the board back about a year ago. At that time, Costco had purchased the TGIF Fridays property, where they are planning on relocating their existing gas facility over onto that lot. There is no change to the approval on the TGIF portion of it. The gas station is going to be built as designed and as approved back a year ago. What has happened since is Costco has purchased the hardcover property. The reason they're purchasing it is to expand their parking. As many people know, their parking situation out there, they could use some additional parking, and the goal is to have some additional parking closer to the main entrance. In conjunction with the additional parking, they are also proposing 2 additions off of the existing warehouse. One being off the front portion, approximately 12,300 square feet. The purpose of that addition would be to relocate the tire center to the rear side of the front of the building and put their main entrance on the corner facing Route 1. And having a main entrance is going to encompass and allow us to take advantage of the additional parking that's going to go on the existing. So this is the existing site, just to give everybody I'm sure everybody knows, but this is the existing gas station. This is the hardcover Fridays, and the Marriott is over here. If we advance to the next slide, the additions that I spoke of would be off the front and off the rear of the building. As you see, the hardcover would be demolished, as previously approved, the gas station would be demolished, and now this would encompass a large parking area. And outlined in red is the previously approved gas station, which will not be changed from previous approvals. Overall, this new parking situation achieves 119 additional parking spaces than what's on the site currently today. As I was speaking before, the addition off the front now focuses the entrance to be closer to the main drive and make it easier for the new parking lot to be able to enter into the building. The tire center, which is now the focal point as you pull in, would be moved down to this area. The rear side addition would be more for reconfiguring the loading dock areas and for more back of house for mechanical room areas and to better layout inside the building towards the rear end. We have provided a drainage report and drainage analysis with this project, and there is an overall decrease in impervious throughout the site, so it's only subject to a redevelopment for this project. We've had the luxury of going through a couple review phases with the engineering division. Very minor comments, we've addressed all of them, and basically stormwater, everything is addressed. There is one remaining open comment where they are requesting some additional information on subsurface piping throughout the site, and unfortunately it's not a great record or information for us to know exactly where all the pipes are on the site. Costco is hiring a company to come out there and do some ground penetrative radar to map all the remaining pipes on the site, and then we'd be able to provide that information to engineering to satisfy that remaining comment. So again, if you note off the back, these areas back here, over here, and up here, there are some wetland areas that are currently on the site. We will be filing with conservation for a notice of intent for this project also. Again, we've received all of the approvals for the one adjacent to that stream bed, or it's actually a wetland that's adjacent to the new gas station. If we advance, this was just overall the drainage on the site. We're going to be working with the existing drainage infrastructure, having a small subsurface detention area. Ultimately, it will function as it does today, where all of the water is collected and goes to the existing drainage basin that's located off the rear parking lot. Again, this has all been vetted and gone through stormwater review, and it will go through conservation. Next slide. This is just giving an overview, as we said, 119 and new additional spaces, and the next slide will just show we have prepared a overall landscaping design throughout the project to accompany, to provide shade trees throughout the site, also dressing up certain areas with bushes and certain ground cover. With that, we'll advance to just the next slide, which I will turn it over to John Harder quickly. I'm sorry, two more slides. Oh, one more slide maybe. Oh, this is the old one.
Yeah.
Let's just go back 2 slides. I'll turn it over to John just to speak quickly on traffic, and also Min is here also if we have any questions about architecture, and we'll just go from there.
Mike, which slide, Mike?
If you can go back 1 to the OS1 plan. Sorry, the other direction. That should be fine. Is that good?
Yes,
for your work?
good, okay. Thank you, good evening. John Harder, H-A-R-T-E-R. I'm Senior Vice President with TBD. We're traffic consultant for Costco. I was on the prior application, and I'm working on about 40 or so active projects with Costco along the East Coast. Mike did a great job covering everything. I thought I would just touch on a few items that would be helpful to add. The hardcover today has a direct right-in only driveway that you can see toward the center of the property. That will be closed as part of the application. We met with MassDOT District 4 in early June and talked through the project. We've filed an application for a permit to close that driveway temporarily and then permanently. And then because of we have had to hire a pre-qualified DOT surveyor, Feldman, who's also doing the ground penetrating radar, and they're involved because it's a limited access roadway, and when you close or add a driveway, you have to go through a detailed process. So that's underway right now as well. All trucks will be using the northern driveway, so The last application, I think, really helps distribute the traffic better at the two site driveways. Today, the gas and the warehouse, the southern access is really the main driveway because of those two generators. But now with the fuel at the north end of the site, we'll see more traffic dispersed to the second northern driveway. And all trucks would use the northern driveway away from the primary parking and pedestrian activity. Pedestrian improvements are also a big part of the application. There's sidewalk that's proposed along the west side of the warehouse building that doesn't exist today, and then you have crossings that are identified throughout the site that will really improve the overall site circulation. Parking will be increased to about 771 spaces. Costco now is trying to, on newer sites, to get 800 spaces, so they're really close with this upgrade. And not only more parking, but the better layout. You know, it's closer to the entrance to the building, so that's a benefit as well. We prepared a trip generation memo that was submitted to the town and also to MassDOT, and they accepted that and reviewed it and concurred that the changes in trip generation would fall below a substantial increase based on their standards. And that covers traffic. I don't know if we need Min to go through.
Again, Min is here if we need to talk anything about architecture, but we'll kind of just want to turn it over to the board and just let your questions or any questions from the crowd dictate where we go from here. If that's okay with everyone?
Okay. That sounds perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. And let's turn it over now to the board with any questions. Why don't I start things off with Tim Spittle?
Thanks for the presentation. This looks like a major improvement as a Costco executive card holder. I just had a quick question on traffic and flow in terms of it. You know, right now the traffic just goes straight into the parking, so it is nice that now you have this kind of T intersection and two separate entrances. Do you have any plans for signs of sort of where you're trying to direct certain type of people or how to utilize so many different parking areas?
The plan may not have that. Actually, I think that came up at the last hearing about some of the gas, so we were intending to add directional signs to the gas facility, but I think that's a good idea. We could identify warehouse parking as you come into the main entrance and fuel to your left. I think the members will learn the circulation as they go along, but I do remember that was an important point at the prior approval. But you're correct. As you come in the main southern access, it's a four-way intersection on site, and that's been changed to a T intersection that will really cut down on the number of conflict points and movements at that intersection. But that's a good idea. We could certainly work with the town and professional staff to increase.
Just for informational purposes, there is a condition in the draft decision, just, you didn't know. It's just a copy, it's similar to what was in the previous decision, saying that the applicant will work with planning staff to choose locations for directional signage on the property.
Thank you.
That's it for me. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Mike DeCoulis.
No questions. Appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. There you go. Jim Sears.
Tim's was my question as well. I think the concern is that, I mean, could we let the members know that if they're just going for gas to use the second entrance? You know, I'm assuming people will probably do both when they shop and then go and get gas, either most likely after they shop, but to try to cut down on the clogging of the first intersection, to try to bifurcate that for people who are just trying to get quick gas and get out of there.
Yes.
So maybe signage and maybe a correspondence to members, email or otherwise.
Right, and sometimes in the entrance to the building, they've added information like that as well, especially after, the improvements are done.
Yeah. So I mean, just, it's a parking lot, so there's not a lot we've already gone through this before, so I think the site it'll be well utilized, and just, that's the biggest thing for me is directional signage and trying to cut down on, people crossing the street there. It's going to be crosswalks, I take it, in the new entrance, and just kind of being able to control all that funnel of traffic and pedestrian movement.
All good points, we agree.
Jim, do you propose anything in addition? I know there's a condition in the draft decision with respect to wayfaring signage. Do you recommend, would you suggest anything further that be added?
Could you point out, are there proposed crosswalks to the new entrance? And are we doing away with the old entrance?
The old entrance via the hardcover?
No, I'm talking about the building.
Oh, sorry, yes. You can see in faint or a gray color, these are crosswalks that are installed or proposed west of the building. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Okay.
that are along the building on the west side, and then you can see the main entrance. You've got this very large hatched area for pedestrians on the south facade.
And is the rear of the building for employee parking? Is that?
Right, it actually works out quite well because it's around 100 spaces, and that's a good volume or supply for employees. So I really expect that this would be, today there's just a lot of parking north of the building that's not ideal. Now we'd have a good volume for employees.
In the tire area, is that going to shift to the back? Where's the tire changing area going to be?
So the tire area will still stay on the front of the building. The bays would be located in this area facing here. What it is it's being relocated currently. It's here to slide down this building to now open up a corner entrance facing the roadway.
So primarily, you're just going to use the bottom entrance for tires, or can you still access the whole store?
There are doors located along here. From this area over will all be, if you've been out there, they have those garage doors that slide up, and this will all be a large foyer area. I think so main entrance would be from here over with garage doors that slide up, and then the remainder of this area would be for the tire center, yes.
So we'll just clearly designate that so people know where to go?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, very good, Jim. Thank you. Jean Hartnett, any questions or comments?
Hi, thank you. I definitely agree that more parking is needed, but what are your hours right now? Did you ever think about extending either before opening or after closing to have a longer period of open time?
Yes, Costco recently started for executive members an earlier opening.
Okay.
Before the normal hours. It typically opens at 9:30 or 10, depending on the day of the week, and now I believe that's about an hour earlier. And fuel is also is always opened before the rush hour, so it's usually around 6:30 in the morning. But there are newer, longer hours as well for the fuel in the nighttime.
Okay.
As well. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. And I just have a few questions. And again, thank you for the presentation. And I know that we've seen this area, we've seen this before, at least with respect to the gas station. And I did just have a few questions with respect to any changes or any issues with respect to the abutting property. I know that, I guess that was the formal, the residence inn.
Yes. So that's PEG Hospitality. At the last meeting, there was a discussion about, I can go back to the pointer here. There was a question about...
I think it was gas queuing or something.
Right, the gas queuing, that's right.
Gas station.
And my testimony at the last time still holds true. This is a very large facility. Typically, the prototype for Costco in the Northeast is a 24 fueling position facility. This is 32. Since Costco has the room, they decided, there's some in Florida that that are this large because they're very busy sites. So Costco has the luxury of that extra capacity. So I don't expect that this would back out of the storage facility. The times say it could is if there's a natural, disaster issue or a storm like Storm Sandy down in the New York area where I'm from. During that period, Costco was the only fuel facility in the New York metro area at times open. Most of the smaller fuel were not, so they had huge demand. So in a case like that, we did develop contingency plans as part of the last application, and the approval process, my office did submit a plan that showed how we would queue traffic in that type of situation to the parking area to the east of the fuel facility and then back around and in, so that we would keep the flow to the Residence Inn open. Prior to this application in late July, I reached out to the manager of the Residence Inn, spoke with her, emailed her the plan, and she said she would circulate that to the PEG Hospitality Group senior executives. And I followed up yesterday, and there was no response or any questions. She confirmed she received the plan, but we did not receive any specific questions.
Got it. Understood.
Lou, just for informational purposes, there was a condition in the previous decision related to the fuel facility, and that condition was carried over to this one regarding, prohibiting queuing in access to the parcel that we're talking about. So just wanted to let you know that's also.
I did see that, so that's.
Yep.
Right, I did see that. That's why I wanted to raise the question, just to see how things were, if there have been any further communications.
Sure.
So, no, that's great. And just one final question. Any idea? I know that in terms of, there's certainly been, this is an expansion here. Is anything that's anticipated for in the near future or future with respect to this? Or I know that you can't predict the future, but in terms of, is this sort of where we're looking at for now, or will there be anticipated further expansion down the road?
Maybe Min could answer that from MG2.
Hi, my name is Min.
Hey, John,
Min.
I'm online, so I can answer that. Hi, how are you? This is John Alvarado, Director of Real Estate Development. Sorry, I couldn't be there, but
yes,
I can answer that for you. Sorry, Min. So, no, I mean, we're not planning any further development. This is basically our goal, to try to get, this store closer to our new master. So we don't plan to do any additional in the near future.
Okay, very good. I was interested just to seeing in terms of what was anticipated. That was also, and you could, but I appreciate you responding to that.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, that's what we were looking for. That, right? So as John mentioned earlier in the presentation, we tried to get. I mean, our new footprint master is bigger, and we have closer to 800 plus parking stalls. So we see the opportunity when we purchase those two parcels, right? Instead of trying to relocate the store, we see the opportunity to stay where we are and expand it as big as we can, and so we can provide what we provide in the new buildings to our members here.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, I have no further questions. Any further questions from members of the board? This is before we go to the public. If the public has any questions. Any further questions from members of the board?
Nope.
Okay, very good. Are there any members of, this is a public hearing, do any members of the public have any questions or comments? And if they do, they can raise their hand, and please approach the podium and direct any questions to the chair, please. Josh, can you see, does anyone have any questions from the audience?
No, they do not.
Okay. Very good. I'll turn things back to the board then. Unless the board has any further questions on this, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, motion's been made by Jean. Is there a second to the motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Second by Tim Spittle. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Jim Sears?
Yes.
Tim Spittle?
Yes.
Mike DeCoulis?
Yes.
Jean Hartman?
Yes.
And I say yes. So the public hearing is closed. So let's move on now to the matter at hand, the site plan review. And the site plan, we do have a draft decision. Can I ask the clerk to make a motion and read the decision?
Yep. Site plan review, 1115, aka 31, 49, and 55 Newberry Street. Date of application, June 17th, 2025. Date of hearing, August 12th, 2025. Date of decision, August 12th, 2025. The Danvers Planning Board finds the site plan submitted by Costco Wholesale Corporation for property at 11 Newbury Street, Assessors Map 55, Lot 004, 15 Newbury Street, aka 31 Newbury Street, Assessors Map 55, Lot 001, 49 Newbury Street, Assessors Map 48, Lot 009A, and 55 Newbury Street, Assessors Map 48, Lot 009, to be in substantial compliance with the criteria and regulations adopted by the town. Details of the plan review can be found on the following plans. Building and parking lot expansion, 11, 15, and 49 to 55 Newbury Street, Danvers, Mass., prepared by R.J. O'Connell Associates, Incorporated, dated June 3rd, 2025, revised to August 1st, 2025, consisting of 33 sheets. Supporting materials include stormwater report prepared by R.J. O'Connell Associates, Incorporated, dated June 3rd, 2025, and a trip generation memorandum prepared by Traffic Planning and Design, Incorporated, dated May 13th, 2025. The following submission requirements have been waived. 1. Section 4.3.1, title sheet, the land use of each lot is not shown on the plan. 2. Section 4.3.2, site analysis plan. Site analysis plan is entitled the existing conditions plan, EX2A to EX2F. A note containing the number and total DBH of all trees is not shown on the plan. 3. Section 4.3.4, site construction plan. The dimensions of the parking lot drive aisles is shown on the off-street parking and loading plan, C3B to C3D. No table indicating the amount of earth material that are to be removed, added, or reused is shown on the plan. 4. Section 4.3.6, utilities plan. The utilities plan is entitled the site construction plan, C2A to C2G. 5. Section 4.3.7, landscape plan. Existing and proposed grades are shown on the site construction plan, C2A to C2G. The existing vegetative cover and existing trees are shown on the existing conditions plan, EX2A to EX2F. The methods for protecting the plant materials during construction are shown on landscape details, L3. Wetland boundaries are shown on the existing conditions plan, EX2C, and dimensional regulations plan, OS1. Yard setbacks are and table showing existing and proposed impervious surface is shown on the dimensional regulations plan, OS1. 6. Section 4.3.8, off-street parking and loading plan. The construction details and type of material is shown on the site details, C4 to C7. A parking table is shown on the dimensional regulations plan, OS1. Conditions of approval. The project is subject to the following conditions. 1. Prior to issuance of a building permit, this site plan decision shall be recorded at the Southern Essex Registry of Deeds. 2. The applicant will satisfy all the comments in the Danvers Engineering Division Memorandum dated August 5th, 2025. 3. The applicant shall install wayfinding signage to the gas station facility. The final number and location of the wayfinding signage is to be reviewed and approved by planning staff. 4. The applicant will work with the abutter at 48 Cranebrook Drive, aka 51 Newbury Street, in coordination with planning staff to avoid queuing from the gas station facility from blocking access to 48 Cranebrook Drive, aka 51 Newbury Street. 5. If there are any changes to the approved plans, the use or conditions on premises, planning staff will review. If deemed a major change by staff, the applicant will have to apply for a new application for site plan review. This project is subject to the attached list of general conditions. Any approval of this site plan review shall lapse within 3 years from the grant thereof if construction has not begun by such date.
Okay, thank you very much. A motion has been made by Gene Hartnett. Is there a second on this?
Second.
Second by Tim Spittle. Motion's been made and seconded on this site plan decision. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to call for a roll call vote. Gene Hartnett?
Yes.
Jim Sears?
Yes.
Tim Spittle?
Yes.
Mike DeCoulis?
Yes.
And I say yes. So very good. The site plan has been approved. Good luck. Okay. Very good. Let's move on to the next agenda item. Agenda item 4. Public hearing 12 and 17 Cherry Hill Drive. Request for site plan review pursuant to section 4 of the zoning bylaw. submitted by EMD Millipore Corporation for properties in the Industrial 2 I-2 zoning district. The applicant proposes parking lot expansions on both properties for a total increase of approximately 146 parking spaces between both properties and related site modifications. Map 37, Lot 38, Map 29, Lot 1. Okay. If the applicant is here, they can introduce themselves, and you may begin.
Good evening, Jill Mann, 191 South Main Street, Middleton, here on behalf of EMD Millipore. Here with me this evening is representative from Millipore, Mark Baker. Also here this evening is the site design engineer, ASB, Thad Berry is the representative, and also the site contractor is here, Bobby Atunzio, and basically, Millipore is seeking to add, now we had to reduce by about 2 spaces, 144 parking spaces at both 12 and 17 Cherry Hill Drive. 17 Cherry Hill Drive is the location for the actual manufacturing facility. What Millipore does is it manufactures tools and equipment used in life sciences. And they also own the satellite parking at 12 Cherry Hill Drive. They bought these properties in 1996 and have been operating there ever since. Over time, the buildings have expanded. There have been some expansion of the parking areas. And then when the COVID pandemic hit, they had a tremendous expansion and a very large demand for the types of products they actually manufactured. As a result of that, they actually leased 54 Cherry Hill, which is in the back of this particular street. And they now have given up that lease because the demand has most certainly declined from what it had been in the 2021 era. Notwithstanding the reduction in the demand, they still have been growing. So they moved all of the manufacturing that had been placed at 54 back to 17. Currently, they have somewhere around 950 employees. During the COVID pandemic, just an example, they had 1,250. And used 54. So based on the reduction in the number of employees, they obviously could no longer support the manufacturing at 54 and again consolidated it at 17. Notwithstanding any of that, they do run 3 shifts a day. So when you look at the shifts and the way they run, it goes from 6 to 2:30, then from 2 to 10:30. So you have a shift, there are about 400 people on each shift, and you have what they call some overlap, and you need overlap because in manufacturing you need to be able to have positive handoff. You can't just have everybody walk out and then new people come in. So there's some overlapping of spaces. Right now, 12 and 17 only have 318 parking spaces. We still currently use some of 54 because the lease isn't up until the end of 2025, December 31st. Currently, there are about 80, sometimes 100 cars that park at 54. Which all of those spaces are going away, so we really need to replenish and add here, which is why we're looking for that large number, 144 additional parking spaces. Mr. George actually had come out to the site and walked it to see, how the parking was set up. And when you do come to the site, you can see people are parking on portions of the grass because there's no place to park. And the problem with 54, as I said, as of December 31st, there will be no longer those parking spaces, and we need a place for our employees to go. And Mr. George, asked, okay, do you have plans to further expand? Honestly, the existing facility only has so much room, so, the expansion is only going to work within the parking you approve, hopefully this evening, and that will end up increasing us to 462 spaces total, and that will give us enough to handle our employees, because as you know, your parking requirements say you should have 1 space for the largest, for every employee on it during the largest shift. And while it's only 400, we have that overlap, which is why we're looking for the additional 60 parking spaces, as well as sometimes we have overtime people who will be in, and we need a little bit of additional space as well to handle that. So we believe that the plans that we submitted actually comply with the review standards. The reason we applied all the way in June, the reason why we continued two times before we came before this board is because we were trying to work out our issues with conservation and have done so. We've created a plan that doesn't require any parking spaces within their 50-foot buffer. We actually only have 54 feet of pavement in the 54 buffer, and it's only because we're trying to provide for safe access all the way around. Parking lot A, I think that's A, right, the furthest one, on parking lot A. And what we end up doing is made it a one-way circulation to be able to reduce the footprint even more. And in fact, it made for a better circulation because we were able to move the drive to relatively close to where people enter on 12's parking lot across the way. So at the present time, we do believe that the Conservation Commission, we've addressed all of their concerns and actually asked them to make that statement at the last hearing. We responded to all of the comments from the planning department and also from the engineering department relative to stormwater, landscaping. There were some questions about lighting. Currently, that site is lighted to daylight, and that actually includes the area that is shown for both parking lots, and I believe that we did show that as well during our site visit at the property. Relative to storm events, for example, snow storage, we do propose to place snow storage on the rear part of that new parking lot C at the back. I'm just going to show you. This will be the area. And the reason it's going to be located in a paved area so that when the snow melts, it actually goes into one of the storm basins and proceeds properly in accordance with the stormwater plan, as well as keeping it off any buffer areas for the Conservation Commission, because that's totally outside their jurisdiction in all buffers. As I said, we did address landscaping by planting along Cherry Hill, which again was part of your design requirements. Based on all of those, conditions, and based on all the satisfaction of the conditions or questions that were posed to us by engineering, Concom, as well as the planning department, we're seeking site plan review and approval by this board to allow us to add these parking spaces that we so desperately need. If you have any questions, we are all here to answer them for you. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Attorney Mann. Appreciate it, and I do appreciate you offering the site visit as well. As you mentioned, it was offered to members of the board, and I happened to attend the site visit yesterday, accompanied also by Josh Morris of town staff. So that was definitely helpful to sort of check out the area in person. So let me go and. Thank you for that presentation. Let me turn things over to the members of the board if they have any questions regarding this. Why don't I begin with Jean Hartnett?
I don't really have any questions. I feel like you covered everything that I was wondering in your presentation, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jean. Jim Sears.
The only question on that, if you could just highlight the landscaping changes and whether they're drought resistant and whether there's irrigation or not, as far as that.
Absolutely. So is it okay if I just stand here and kind of, I'll try to point. I didn't bring a laser pointer, but, so the landscape changes are, so we added the boundary, basically part of the screening and part of the appeal, so when you go down Cherry Hill, it looks nice. And also...
And the applicant, if you don't mind actually just describing it as well, as so people at home who might be just seeing the screen which shows the plan, if you can just sort of describe where it is.
Absolutely. So on the boundary between the property and running along Cherry Hill Drive, all along the frontage that the property and the parking lot abut, in between the right-of-way, and the parking area, we have installed landscaping in the form of trees and shrubbery, as well as boulders, so that you can't drive over it. So basically protecting both the street and the property. So those were changes that were made within or along the right-of-way for Cherry Hill Drive. In addition to that, we are proposing to restore the areas within the buffer and some within the wetland, in fact, because when we went out there, there was a tremendous number of invasive species. So what we wanted to do is plant native species, which will provide for better, for lack of a better terms, purification, right? It actually allows the storm water to actually infiltrate and then be cleansed better if you have the native species. They are drought tolerant. And do we have irrigation out there? I don't even know that, we don't even have irrigation. So we did use plants that are drought tolerant, salt tolerant, and tolerate both wet and dry. They're actually plants that will do both, and we had to do that because if you can see, I'm going to explain. Along all the areas that are either represented by a swale and/or go around a stormwater basin, we actually proposed additional planting to, again, support the system in the stormwater management facilities. So that's where we planted as well. And we are making, also, Mr. Sears, there was a basin that is used by an off-site property, Abiamed. So Abiamed is to the north, right up here. So they actually have a stormwater drain, because they owned this driveway before they sold it to Millipore. The drain runs through Millipore's property and out to the back where they have a stormwater basin. We have proposed to clean that and make it a little more accessible, because it is, if it's functioning at all, it's poorly functioning. So once we make our repairs, it actually will be much improved.
Okay. The only other question, can you highlight the snow storage areas for the new parking?
100%. So I'm going to describe it, then I'm going to go over there. So the Conservation Commission asked us to keep all snow storage out of their buffer area, and we thought it would be best to keep it completely out of the 100-foot area. So what we did is propose to keep it on pavement to the north on area C. Now, you would think, because I'm taking up parking spaces, I'm creating an issue. But honestly, when we plow in these very large storm events, a lot of our employees don't come in on that day, and/or we do delay start so that we don't have the shift change issue, and we do other things to ameliorate for like the issues that are attendant when you're trying to plow and when you're trying to store the snow. So we do that, we create an area, and then we continue to move it, and we don't typically have issues with any kind of parking space deficit.
Are
if
they
you will.
designated on the plan?
1 minute, let me ask. Did you designate this? Yes, it's, do you know what sheet it was on? I don't recall. So it's designated in the operations and maintenance plan on the stormwater, but is it shown on any
shown
plan
on
as
the
being the
plan?
stow storage area?
You got to show it on where you're going to store it.
We can actually update it because it's only in the stormwater management plan.
Yeah.
So what we can do is just, we'll submit to Mr. Morris. What we'll do is do a separate sheet. That'll be better, so we don't have to change the sheets you're looking at, and we'll submit a snow storage sheet showing exactly where we'll store.
Yeah, we'll keep it off the landscaping and just show the designated areas on site, which is what we typically would see. So
Sure.
That'd be great.
So we can deliver that to Mr. Morris tomorrow? Tomorrow.
Great. Thank you.
You're
That's
very
all I have. Look.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Let's see, I think we, Tim Spittle, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
Just one sort of curious question, because I think this is a great presentation. It's very well thought out. It makes a lot of sense. But so the 462 spaces, you mentioned something about that's what you expect to need for the growth, but it does seem like it's, you're still pretty close to what your maximum number size is right now. Are there any considerations for like structured parking or something that could give you a lot more wiggle room?
So we don't believe we need structured parking because while the bylaw requires one per employee, there are employees who carpool, there are employees who ride their bike, there are employees who take public transportation of some sort to come to the site. It's just that why we end up having that pinch point is the shift change. And we believe that we can manage that. And then we have the overtime issue. So Mr. Baker had actually indicated to us that we do have additional space that will allow us growth. So we aren't concerned at all. So to put up an additional structure really isn't necessary. Because the facility itself will only handle so many employees.
Makes sense.
And would you like to address it? Do you mind if Mr. Baker just?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Mark Baker from Millipore. The growth that we would add, even if I was to add 70 or 80 people, the shifts that already have the overlap wouldn't get more than a couple of people each. All of our off shifts, we run Saturday and Sunday, 12-hour shifts each time. So we would be adding to those shifts, not more to here. We're already at our capacity pretty much there, between engineering staff, support staff, plus production folks. So all the production folks we would add would be to the off shifts. So currently now our third shift, or what we call C shift, is our lowest shift. We'll say 50, 55 people. We can easily ramp that up to 130 or so people quickly there, and then a little more also on the weekends. So that's where you would add the capacity to stay away from that challenge growing.
Makes sense.
And then a problem for the second structure is I got to remove the people, put them somewhere during construction. I'm not quite sure how that's going to happen feasibly. Okay?
Makes sense. Thank you. No other questions from me.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Michael DeCoulis.
Thanks, Lou. Nice presentation. Appreciate it. Just a quick comment. Parking lot B, it looks like at the end, which I apologize, I'm not sure if Plan North is on here. Oh yeah, Plan North. So Plan North of parking lot B, the turnaround there looks a little smaller than the one on parking lot C, and I just get a little nervous that if people drive down there and there's no parking, they might get kind of tucked in there, but you guys might have already thought of that. I'm not sure dimensionally if it works out. Right where it says parking lot B, C sheet C5. Yeah, if you drive all the way down there, it looks like you might get stuck if there's no parking spots at the end of there, but you guys might have already thought of that.
We actually did look at that, and because it's only one parking space and over here there were two, we felt that that was sufficient. And
Sure. Yeah, just a comment. And then the other comment was at the other end of that parking lot, the way it runs into the existing parking lot and into Cherry Street, I just get concerned with like people coming out of there quickly and people coming out of the main parking lot and the new parking lot and coming into the parking lot, and it just being like, it's not set back off the entrance at all. So I just get concerned that there's a little bit of congestion or potential like accidents with like speeding or something like that, or if people are trying to get to work on time or
Agree
leave work
100%.
quickly.
So what we do now currently is on the side of the building, which isn't pictured, well, a little bit is pictured on the top. The intent is to try to use supervisors, lead folks and so on that tend to leave at a slightly different time than the regular production staff to prevent that. So we will ask them assign parking in that lot again, because it's
Perfect.
26, 27 spots.
Great.
Because we don't have enough on the top side of the building right now for all of our managers and supervisors. So that's the intent. So they wouldn't even be down in there for that most part. And everybody would park in all the rest of the area to alleviate that.
Great, thanks. That's my only comment. Nice job.
Absolute
Appreciate
same
it.
concern.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Turning to me, I don't, in terms of, I think, any questions I had have been addressed. I did appreciate the opportunity to participate in the site visit. So that was helpful to be able to sort of see things in sort of in real life. I did just with respect. This is more of a question for town staff, for Josh, with respect to the submittal of a separate snow storage sheet that they're going to be submitting. Is that something, should that be incorporated as a condition?
Yes. It should just be, prior to endorsement, the applicant will provide a snow storage sheet to the plan set, and that should be satisfactory.
Okay, that is no storage. And for the applicant, you understand we would add that as a condition to the approval with respect to submitting a separate snow storage sheet?
absolutely, and we accept the condition.
Okay, very good. All right, well, if there are no other further questions from members of the board, this is a public hearing, so I was going to see if any members of the public had any questions or comments with respect to this request. Josh, do we?
No.
Is there anyone who's?
No.
No?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Okay, there's no public questions or comments. I will come back to the board. I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing for 12 and 17 Cherry Hill Drive.
I make a motion to close the public hearing for 12 and 17 Cherry Hill Drive.
Okay, motion's been made by Gene Hartnett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tim Spittle. Very good. Any discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a roll call vote. Gene Hartnett,
Yes.
Jim Sears,
Yes.
Tim Spittle,
Yes.
Michael DeCoulis,
Yes.
and I say yes. Okay, so moving on now to the site plan review application itself. We do have a draft decision in our packet, and I'll ask the clerk to read into make a motion and read into the decision, and do remember that we have the additional condition with respect to snow storage.
Okay.
So I leave it to you, Jane.
Okay. Site plan review, 12 and 17 Cherry Hill Drive. Date of application, June 12th, 2025. Date of hearing, August 12th, 2025. Date of decision, August 12th, 2025. The Danvers Planning Board finds the site plan submitted by EDM Millipore Corporation for property at 12 Cherry Hill Drive, Assessors Map 37, Lot 38, and 17 Cherry Hill Drive, Assessors Map 29, Lot 1, to be in substantial compliance with the criteria and regulations adopted by the town. Details of the plan review can be found on the following plans. Site plan review and notice of intent plans, EDM Millipore Corporation, 12 and 17 Cherry Hill Drive, Danvers, Mass. 01923, prepared by ASB Design Group, LLC, dated June 9th, 2025, revised to August 8th, 2025, consisting of 14 sheets. Figures for site plan, prepared by ASB Design Group, LLC, dated June 9th, 2025, revised to July 23rd, 2025, consisting of 7 sheets. Parking space plan, prepared by ASB Design Group, LLC, dated July 23rd, 2025, consisting of 3 sheets. Planting plan, prepared by ASB Design Group, LLC, dated July 30th, 2025, consisting of 3 sheets. Supporting material include HydroCAD report summaries prepared by ASB Design Group, LLC, dated June 9th, 2025. Operation and maintenance plan prepared by ASB Design Group, LLC, dated June 9th, 2025. Invasive plan management plan, IPMP, prepared by Norse Environmental Services Incorporated, dated July 23rd, 2025. Riverfront and buffer zone restoration plan, planting plan, prepared by Norse Environmental Services Incorporated, dated July 30th, 2025. The following submission requirements have been waived. 1. Section 4.3.1, title sheet. The land use of each lot and zoning district boundaries are not shown on the plan. Existing contours at 1-foot intervals are shown on the existing conditions and topographic plans. C2. 2. Section 4.3.2, site analysis plan. Site analysis plan is entitled The Existing Conditions and Topographic Plans. C2. A note containing the number and total DBH of all trees is not shown on the plan. 3. Section 4.3.3, Dimensional Regulations Plan. No dimensional regulations plan submitted. All lot lines are shown on existing conditions and topographic plans. C2. An overall site plan. C3. 4. Section 4.3.4, Site Construction Plan. Site Construction Plan is entitled The Overall Site Plan, C3. The dimensions of the parking lot drive aisles are shown on Site Plan Parking Lot B and C, C5. There is no table indicating amount of earth material to be removed, added, or reused. 5. Section 4.3.6, Utilities Plan. No utilities plan submitted. The location and details of the proposed storm drain system is shown on overall site plan, C3. Site plan parking lot A, C4. Site plan parking lot B and C, C5, and BMP details, C7 and C8. 6. Section 4.3.7, Landscape Plan. No landscape plan submitted. Existing and proposed grades are shown on the overall site plan, C3. A plan of plants to be used and the methods for protecting the plant materials during construction are shown on landscape details, C12. Wetland boundaries are shown on the existing conditions and topographic plans, C2. And overall site plan, C3. 7. Section 4.3.8, Off-Street Parking and Loading Plan. The off-street parking and loading plan is entitled The Overall Site Plan, C3. The dimensions of the parking lot drive aisles are shown on site plan parking lot B and C. C5, the construction details and type of material is shown on the site drainage details. C10, a parking table is shown on the parking space plan, figure 1. 8, section 4.3.9 lighting plan. No lighting plan is submitted. The following requirements from the zoning bylaw have been waived. Section 10.3.E.3, width of parking spaces. Parking spaces are required to have a minimum width of 9 feet. The project proposes parking spaces with a width of 8.5 feet. Conditions of approval. The project is subject to the following conditions. 1, prior to the issuance of a building permit, this site plan decision shall be recorded at the Southern Essex Registry of Deeds. 2, the applicant will satisfy all the comments in the Danvers Engineering Division memorandum dated August 12th, 2025. 3, if there are any changes to the approved plans, the use or the condition.
I was going to say, the snow one maybe, but it's
4.
fine.
I was going to do 4.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Planning staff will review. If deemed a major change by staff, the applicant will have to apply for a new application for site plan review. 4, prior to approval, the applicant will submit a snow storage sheet to town staff. This project is subject to the attached list of general conditions. Is that it? Okay. Any approval of this site plan review shall lapse within 3 years from the grant thereof if construction has not begun by such date.
Okay, very good. A motion's been made. One quick question. I know Jean mentioned in terms of as to the, I think she said prior to approval with respect to the snow storage. Would it be proper to say prior to endorsement?
Yeah, yes, but yeah, that's what I would write, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Is that okay, Jean?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. So a motion's been made by Jean. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, second by Tim. Very good. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a roll call vote. Jean Hartnett?
Yes.
Jim Sears?
Yes.
Tim Spittle?
Yes.
Mike DeCoulis?
Yes.
And I say yes. Okay, very good. So the application has been approved. Good luck. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's move on to the fifth and final agenda item for this evening. It's a public hearing for 200 Endicott Street. It's a request for a site plan review and signage waiver submitted by Raising Cane's Restaurants, LLC, pursuant to Section 4, Site Plan Review, in Section 37.2.B3, signage waivers of the zoning bylaw. Said property is in the Commercial 3, C3 zoning district. The applicant proposes a standalone restaurant with a drive-through and associated site modifications. The applicant proposes 1 freestanding sign, 4 attached wall signs, and 3 other signs on the building for a total of 8 signs where only 2 maximum signs are allowed. Map 62, Lot 5. If the applicant is here, they can introduce themselves and they may begin.
Thank you very much. My name is Nancy McCann. I'm here on behalf of Raising Cane's Restaurants, LLC, the applicant, and we are seeking site plan review and a signage waiver for the proposed new location of a Raising Cane's restaurant at 200 Endicott Street in the C3 zoning district. I have our team with me tonight. I have Melissa Brachul with Raising Cane's, Matt Ashley, the project engineer from Bowler Engineering, Jason Adams from Bowman, our traffic engineer, and Sidhi from Bowler Engineering to speak to landscaping. We also have some folks remotely with us. Michelle Robinson, site designer, Spencer McNichols, also site designer, and Jennifer Squires, who has put together our signage package. So we have a full complement here to present this to you this evening, and we hope you're all hungry so we can talk chicken. We are seeking site plan review. We're also seeking a signage waiver from this planning board. This may be the first time, I believe, that you've been asked to discuss a signage waiver. And under Section 37 of the zoning bylaw, the planning board is in fact in this case, where we have site plan review, is the authority to issue a waiver for a signage package. And so that's a change to the bylaw over time that we're dealing with in this particular case. So we are seeking the signage waiver, and the criteria for a signage waiver is that the proposed package does not provide any substantial detriment. There will be no substantial detriment that will result, and that's under Section 37 of your zoning bylaw. And we certainly think the sign package, as we'll present to you tonight, is attractive, it's appropriate for the location, and it follows the branding of the Raising Cane's restaurant. Raising Cane's, if you could switch to the next slide, please. Raising Cane's was founded in 1996 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And as of yesterday, there are 919 Raising Cane's restaurants throughout the United States. By the end of this year, we're anticipating 10 restaurants in Massachusetts will be up and operating. You may be familiar with the relatively newly opened Raising Cane's in Saugus. Raising Cane's is a company that really prides itself not only on the quality of specifically its chicken tenders, but also as an active community member. Raising Cane's focuses on chicken tenders, French fries, coleslaw, and a chicken sandwich, and that's about it. It's a limited menu, but they specialize in that, and the chicken tenders are really exceptional. If we could go to the next slide, please. This is a proposal again for 200 Endicott Street. That is the site of the Fidelity Building, which is a rather drab building on that corner. And that is proposed to be removed. The Fidelity Building is 6,604 square feet with three curb cuts. We're replacing that structure, so removing the Fidelity Building and replacing that with a smaller restaurant building of 3,378 square feet and 2 curb cuts. The restaurant use, it is a fast food restaurant, as that's defined under the zoning bylaw. That is a permitted use in the C3 zoning district. This site will have a double drive-through. That is also a permitted use in the C3 zoning district. The entire site has been designed to be in full compliance with the zoning bylaw. The application package that you have received is quite extensive and complete. You have the application itself, the filing fee, of course, project narrative, which is quite detailed. A drainage report was submitted. We have a traffic study that was prepared by Bowman, and a full civil site plan set, as well as an architectural plan set, and of course the sign package was its separate booklet. On sheet or page 2, I should say, of the project narrative, you have a chart which details full compliance with all of the dimensional and density requirements under the C3 zoning district for this site. I will point out that both the building coverage as well as the impervious coverage generally for the site is far below permitted percentages in this zoning district, but are also a significant reduction over existing conditions, both for the building as well as impervious coverage. So it's certainly an improvement. A portion of this property is located in Peabody. However, the entire building itself is located in Danvers. If you could go to the next slide, please. This gives you the existing Fidelity Building that will be removed and replaced with the Raising Cane's restaurant, and some significant new, very attractive landscaping, both trees and shrubs, as indicated on the landscaping plan as well as in the project narrative. You could go to the next slide, please. And the next. The restaurant, again, provides very high-quality chicken meals, has hours of operation 7 days a week from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 a.m., meeting the needs. This is in a commercial zoning district. We have no residential abutters here. It's an active commuting route. We have the new Logan Express that operates all throughout the night. We have emergency responders and others, third shift employees. I think Millipore that you just heard from works 3 shifts. So this provides a good food opportunity for those workers throughout the evening. And again, timing as proposed is permitted in Danvers, so that we don't need any relief for the operational time periods. The restaurant will provide a good employment opportunity as well. 55 new jobs are anticipated, 12 employees on the largest shift. As you'll see throughout the presentation and as demonstrated in the narrative, there were certainly conversations and meetings with planning staff and engineering staff throughout the design development process. And this is an intentional design put together to meet the needs of the restaurant, the circulation for its customers, and importantly, to meet the density and dimensional design requirements under the zoning bylaw. So we are in full compliance with those items. At this point, I will turn it over to Matt Ashley, the project engineer, and then you'll hear from the traffic engineer, our landscape architect, and then from Melissa with Raising Cane's to discuss architecture and signage. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Matthew Ashley with Bowler Engineering, civil site engineer for the development. So up here is just a kind of blowout of the area to kind of get your bearings. So across the street is Sylvan Street Grill. The big star there is obviously the site that we're looking to redevelop, located at Sylvan Street and Endicott Street. As Nancy mentioned, there's currently 3 curb cuts that exist out there today. And part of coordinating with both towns and cities, we are proposing only 2 and further restricting the entrance on Sylvan Street. Currently, that's a full access driveway that will now be a right in, right out. And then the 3rd entrance located up to the top right corner there will be closed off. That'll be part of the drive-through operation in that corner. If you go to the next slide, please. So this is just a closer view to kind of give you what's out there today. So as you can see, it is largely an impervious area. There is some landscaping around the outside, a couple of trees, and then some low-level ground plantings. And then down to the south is Waters River, located in Peabody. So as part of our new plan, we'll be increasing pervious area by 17%. Out here, as Nancy mentioned, so quite a bit of more pervious area. And Sadi will get into this later as well, but we are saving most of the existing trees out there as well, along with planting some additional ones. And I'm just going to walk up to the screen real quick, and I'll try to describe it for those viewing. Just give you an idea of where the town line is for reference. If you have one. I'll do my arm method for now. But essentially, you go to the next slide, please, Josh. And there you go. That's a better representation than my arm that everyone can see.
Okay.
Thank you. Right there. Awesome. Next slide, please. So what you see here is the proposed development. So we are looking at a 3,300 square foot plus or minus quick serve restaurant with dual drive-through that wraps around in a counterclockwise manner. With the new layout, we are proposing 29 parking spaces that meet both Peabody and Danvers parking requirements, reducing impervious area by about 17%. along with some other site improvements as well. It is a little unique in the fact that the building and the drive-through is solely located in Danvers, and then all the parking is located in Peabody. So that's just a little fun fact about the site. As mentioned earlier, this driveway entrance located down on Plan South is currently a full access driveway. In coordination with Peabody, they wanted that to be a right in, right out, and there is a island in there to further restrict that movement. And then this secondary entrance up here, located on Endicott Street, will be a right in and right out as well, just given that there is a median that runs down Endicott Street. And then the third location was closed off, and that would have been located up in this area here. As far as stormwater improvements and utility connections are all through through Danvers, and they go back out into Endicott Street in various locations. Kind of see these limit of works that go out there. And as far as stormwater perspective, there is no stormwater management on the site in the existing conditions. Everything flows from Plan North to Plan South and goes right directly into Waters River. So as part of our improvements, we will be having fully curbed parking lot area that will be collect the stormwater through deep sump-putted catch basins or a vegetative grass swale. Will either go into a subsurface infiltration system or a surface infiltration system as well. So from a stormwater perspective, vastly improved from the current conditions. All those stormwater management features are located down in Peabody, but we do have some catch basins located in the drive-through as well that collect stormwater runoff. Next slide, please. This is just what we submitted here, and you'll find in your site development plan package that was submitted. Just a little more detail, a little more busy, just for reference. Go to the next slide, please. Lighting. So as part of the redevelopment, we did supply a full lighting plan with associated details that is compliant with Danvers. But essentially everything is pole mounted or building mounted out there underneath the canopies, appropriate with the type of use out here, focusing on intersections and pedestrian connectivity to make sure they have adequate levels, and is pretty much level throughout the site, plus or minus. And everything is fully cut off and shielded, no upward lighting on the site features, and then is minimized from property overflow. And with that, I will hand it off to Sadi to talk about some landscaping.
Okay. Okay, if you can just introduce yourself for the record, and you can present when you're ready.
So my name is Siddhi Vagholikar. I'm a landscape architect with Polar Engineering. So as a part of landscape design, we are proposing a very diverse plant palette that includes both native and adaptive plantings. Majority of plantings that are used here are salt tolerant and drought tolerant, but at the same time, all the plantings that we are using are essentially ideal for the suitable for the urban conditions where the site is located. Selected plants, once established, which is typically establishment period is typically 2 to 3 years. Once established, they will have minimal water needs. So as you can see on the rendered plan here, we are providing 20-foot wide buffer along the street edge, along both streets. And the landscape strip contains shade trees, shrubs, ornamental grasses, perennials, and ground covers, and also part of lawn. In addition to this peripheral landscaping, we are also proposing some foundation planting closer to the building itself. Apart from proposed landscaping, we have made maximum efforts to save the existing planting to the extent possible, and that includes 3 large shade trees along both streets. In addition to that, if you look at the Plan South area where the wetland system is located, we have maintained the existing vegetation buffer as is. During the design process, we saw that there was a smaller portion where there was a considerable amount of erosion. So we have also provided some restorative planting native plantings within that zone. Next slide, please. So this slide essentially shows different proposed plants that we are using on this project. And as you can see how the plant palette is very diversified, it's going to create a really nice visual interest throughout the season in terms of its color, its form, and even the textural difference between different plant varieties. In addition to the visual interest during the growing season, we have also incorporated a good amount of evergreen plantings and shrubs that have that can retain berries during winter season, or that can have interesting branching pattern to create that winter interest as well. And that concludes landscape. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Jason Adams with Bowman Consulting. We were hired to prepare a traffic impact study reviewing the potential impacts of the project. So we have a study area that focuses on the two site driveways as well as the adjacent signalized intersection of Endicott Street and Sylvan Street. If you want to go to the next slide. We had prepared a scoping letter that we submitted to the town and worked through a couple changes that were incorporated from both planning and engineering. Our traffic data was collected in April of this year. We collected from noon until 8 p.m. on a weekday on a Thursday, and then we collected data from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on a Saturday in order to determine the weekday midday or lunchtime peak hour, as well as the weekday afternoon. It's kind of the early dinner commuter peak hour, and then we looked at a Saturday midday peak hour as well, especially along a commercial corridor like this, and knowing that the lunchtime of Raising Cane's is a peak period consideration. We reviewed available crash data from Mass DOT for the most recent 5-year period, which is 2017 to 2021. We took our existing conditions, forecasted those into the future year of 2032, a 7-year build program, which is consistent with Mass DOT guidelines, factoring in available background growth rate, as well as traffic volume data from known adjacent developments. If you want to go to the next slide. We then completed a trip generation assessment of the project site using data published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers. A good amount of the traffic to a project site like this is considered to be pass-by traffic, which are vehicle trips already traveling past the site, so that they're not an additional trip to the Endicott Street or Sylvan Street corridors, but instead are a vehicle that's already going from point A to point B that would potentially access the project site as a matter of convenience. So then we looked at the project trip distribution, taking a look at existing travel patterns, as well as the project access. It's fairly unique access with right-in, right-out access only, as Matt went through. We do see that as an improvement over existing conditions. We then completed a capacity analysis using the Synchro capacity analysis software to review the traffic operations during existing conditions and here in 2025, as well as future conditions in 2032 with and without the project site to understand the potential impacts of the project. As part of our field work and in concert with Matt and his team, we also completed a site distance assessment of both driveways, work with the landscape architecture team to make sure that sight lines are clear so that vehicles entering and exiting the sites can do so safely. You want to go to the next slide? And just some conclusions from our study. The Mass DOT data shows that crash rates at both the signalized intersections as well as the existing driveways are well below state and Mass DOT District 4 averages. We see a minimal impact to the traffic study area intersections as a result of the project. We did determine that available site distance meets the required and recommended AASHTO guidelines at both driveways. And overall, we see the consolidation of access from the two driveways to one on Endicott Street, as well as the right in, right out only at both driveways, to be an overall improvement in terms of access and management at the project site and along the corridor. With that, I can turn it over to Melissa.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name's Melissa Brochel, and I am the Property Development Manager for Raising Cane's Northeast. I wanted to just go over some of the elements of our architectural features for the exterior of the building, but first I would like to go into just a little bit more about our operations and give you a little bit of history about the background of Raising Cane's, which will make a little bit more sense when we go into the signage. So as far as Nancy had given the history, Raising Cane started at the south gates of LSU in 1996 by our founder, Todd Graves. He is still our owner and CEO today, so he has withstood the test of time for building a new brand. As far as his history goes, he had started this idea in a business class that he was enrolled in when he was in college, and the professor had come up with a task for all of the students, and the task was he wanted to have each student come up with an idea for a business that could withstand the test of time. And Todd, loving chicken fingers, thought what better way to start this than to start the restaurant and come up with the idea for a chicken finger restaurant that is fast and delicious, and can also withstand the test of time. Unfortunately, Todd got the lowest grade in the class because the professor thought that this was an unattainable goal. So it only lit a fire in Todd to figure out a way to make it work. Fast forward a few years, he started out, he realized that he needed to make some money for the growing business, so he became a sockeye salmon fisherman as well as a boilerman in Alaska. You'll see some of those elements come up in the signage in a little bit. After he was the sockeye salmon fisherman and the boilerman, he was able to raise enough money to build his first restaurant. He had found a location that was a little small corner property, and he ended up doing the demolition of it. And while he was doing the demolition himself, him and the partner that he had started the company with, they had uncovered a lot of cool little decor elements that we still use in the restaurant today. You'll see a lot of disco balls. That was actually the very first piece of decor that hung in the restaurant to kind of give it a little bit of life. There was a skylight in the middle of the very first restaurant that we actually call the Mothership. It's still open and operating today. And that disco ball was really the first piece of decor, as well as you'll also see some of the interior elements that we have also are incorporated. We have a Velvet Elvis. Our owner loves Elvis, so we like to incorporate that in every restaurant that we have. And then fast forwarding to today, we again have over 900 restaurants in the U.S. Each restaurant is individual to the location that it's in. We pride ourselves on making sure that we are very in tune with the community. So we have a specific team that goes in to make sure that the decor both inside the restaurant and outside the restaurant are very attachable to the local community. Going back to the architectural elevations, I just want to kind of go down list by list. The very first elevation that you'll see is the front elevation. We've got the standard Cane's mural. You can see to the left there. That is the drive-through canopy that helps to shade some of the weather elements for the customers picking up at the pickup window, as well as for the drivers that are in the drive-through waiting for their food. Another item to mention, and I apologize, I'm kind of going back and forth a little bit. Nancy had mentioned earlier that Raising Cane's has a focused menu. So it's chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries, buttered bread, cane sauce, and a drink. With that being said, you don't have a whole lot of options. So as our customers come into the drive-through, we know that you're going to order chicken fingers. We just don't know how many. So our speed of service is very quick, and we pride ourselves on that. From the moment you get into the drive-through and place your order to the moment you pick up your food, it's about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So we try to be as efficient as possible with that focused menu. And as you can see, again, just tying in that canopy, we just do that to make sure that everyone is kind of safe from the elements. There is also fans and lighting on that as well, just for the different seasons. The second elevation that you see, that is that's our drive-through elevation. Again, this is the drive-through canopy in the middle underneath the Canes wall sign. And to the left of that, you'll actually see the Canes mural, which is, again, specific to each community that we're in. This would be listed as Danvers. And this is what the drive-through area would look like as people are waiting for their food. One thing to note here is that this, again, very specific to each community that we're in, and it is a very big social media presence. Canes tends to have a cult following. We're very, our expansion is drastically improving in the Northeast, so people are actually traveling to these different locations that we're opening up to take pictures in front of the specific murals. We also have those listed, located on the inside as well, so there's different features that they can do to take some social media photos. The third elevation you'll see is the rear elevation. This is the back of the building that's facing to the east. This will show our trash enclosure area, our trash enclosure area, as well as our corral, where we keep additional trash and refuse as we bring it back and forth to the trash enclosure. And then down at the bottom is the rear elevation. We have the One Love canopy letters that are posted on top of the canopy, as well as the another wall sign and the red dog banner. The one that's shown on this is actually an older version of our red dog. We have a newer updated graphic that we can share as well that is a little bit different, but it's just to point that out. I know you guys are seeing the dog feature. Kane is actually our owner and CEO's dog. We are now on Kane 3, so we needed to update the graphic just to make sure that we were with the times. Next slide, please. Again, you'll see we are asking for more signage than what is allowed by code. However, we do feel that this is our standard package, and with Raising Cane's being a new brand, the presence and the visibility is extremely important for people to understand where they're going, where the entrances are, and what Raising Cane's is all about. Next slide, please. All right, so I'll start with the front west elevation. This is facing Sylvan Street. The only sign that we are requesting for this elevation is the wall sign, which is the 4x8 standard wall sign. It's 24.14 square foot. And that would be going over the front entranceway. On the north drive-through elevation, we are proposing 2 signs for this elevation. One is the standard Cane's mural that is, again, specific to the town of Danvers. And we have the 4x8 wall sign going above the pickup window area. Next slide, please. This is the east rear elevation. Again, it is facing a street that has visibility, so we are asking for an additional wall sign that will be going over one of the exit doors. And then on the south side entry elevation, we are requesting 3 different signs here. The first sign to your left is One Love canopy letters. They are internally lit, and they are situated above the canopy. Again, a 4th wall sign that's a 4x8 that would be going above the entranceway. And then the red dog banner, which would be updated with our current graphic. Next slide, please. I think that might be it.
That might be it.
Any questions? Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so I think we've given you a pretty thorough presentation. You do have some department comments from the engineering department. Matt Ashley and his team have been working with the engineering department and will be submitting a response memo, which the responses they have already met last week with the engineering department and have gone through all of those. There are no outstanding items or issues related to those comments. One of the comments that has been received from the engineering department indicated that the engineering department was recommending a traffic peer review for a very limited number of items, really just one particular entrance and exit point, that they are suggesting a peer review. That's up to the board, of course, as to whether you think that that's required or not. And that would have to be completed. That obviously has not been undertaken yet. I think that is it. This is kind of an exciting new restaurant to come into town. I think we have, I don't know whether we said that we had 50 indoor seats. And again, the parking requirement has been met. Peabody is looking at this as well, both from Conservation Commission in Peabody as well as their site plan review, because we do have some parking spaces, although the entire building is located in Danvers. And Peabody is looking at that and will anticipate a vote on that at the Peabody meeting in first week of September for that section of the project. So with that, we have the full team here. We've got some folks remotely as well. We would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Attorney McCann. Thank you to all the presenters. And yeah, and so just so I have, I just want to, before I turn it over to the board for questions, I just did want to touch base with Josh, with town staff, with respect to, so what Attorney McCann referenced was I believe this was the engineering memo from August 12th. That's a recommendation for a traffic peer review. Is that right, Josh?
Yes, the engineering department in their initial memo mentioned the recommended a peer review, and then I believe with engineering being in touch with the development team, that other document that was dated August 12th, which I think you're referencing, was provided to the planning department today. We're going over a scope of a potential peer review.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Very good. Just want to see what's potentially out there. Okay. So what we're also looking for today, at least what's before us, is both a request for site plan review as well as the signage waivers. Correct?
That's right.
Okay. Got it. All right. All right. I'm going to go and turn things over to the board if they have questions or comments regarding the proposal. Why don't I start things out with Jim Sears?
Okay, I had a few questions. Let me get back to the plan. So, excuse me, Nancy, how many seats did you say were inside of the building?
50.
50, okay. And the 29 parking spots, how many people on the largest shift? How many employees?
12.
So we felt that 29 parking spots is sufficient to handle 50 seats and 12 employees?
Yes, that's meets the requirement under the bylaw.
I guess my biggest concern is the movements and the access to the site, where we're taking a site that was pretty docile with the fidelity use, and we're adding an enormously long queuing driveway for the drive-throughs, where you have up to 20 cars potentially. And we're coming off of the southern end, I guess, of Sylvan Street, or at least promoting that as maybe the major access, or maybe it's the Endicott Street, I can't really tell. But if I'm coming down in a southerly way on Sylvan Street and I forget to take that left to access the spot, and I decide at the last minute I need that chicken finger sandwich, and I want to take that turn after I go past the, pretty busy Sylvan Street parking lot, approaching the Bagel World parking lot, it's going to be difficult for me to cross over at that point. So it seemed to me we want to maybe discourage that, because once people start queuing, because there's a lot of queuing right there, there's a ton of queuing as you get to that light on any given day, and if people are going to be crossing over in that area. That concerns me. I'm wondering if there was any thought to flipping the direction of the cars from the, I'm calling south to north direction, to the opposite direction, where you come off of Endicott, come in that way, and proceed downward through the drive-through to then exit out onto Sylvan Street. But again, you're still going to have a problem if you're going to try to go, you're not going to be able to go left there. It's going to be kind of a congested area. I'm wondering if any thought was given to going the opposite direction, and maybe is there another way if we opened up that third, if we didn't close that third exit point, would that help alleviate some of this? I don't know. It just seems, we'll talk about the signs later, which I think are way too many for one location. But I don't know if we could address that, the turning movements on the site. That's my biggest concern.
Okay. I definitely want to turn this over to our traffic engineer, but you could turn in here.
Which I think is the preferred route.
Well, you can do that, of course.
Right.
Or you can turn in here and get there. So
But crossing over those two lanes, I think, is going to
Right.
tie up the whole bottle of works there, because it gets very congested.
This is why I'm handing you.
Thank you. It's just this top button or this right button? So to be clear, this driveway would not allow that left turn you're
Could you just
talking
identify
about.
yourself again for the record, please?
Sorry, Jason Adams with Bowman Consulting. The driveway along Sylvan Street here would be right turn in, right turn out only. We had extensive conversation with Peabody as well as with Danvers staff as well. So this was an issue that was raised. I'll just make the point that the signage is not exactly my business, but the additional visibility of the signage is probably going to help you not forget that you want the chicken as you're coming south and able to take that left. So there is a...
Are we putting a Jersey barrier? How are we going to prevent people from taking that left?
There'll be signage. The design of this driveway here has been updated. Matt, this is, right, there's a bit of an update to the configuration of this driveway.
Yep, sorry, Matt Ashley with Bowler. So we've been working with PBD's engineers, and it's really gotten bulked up, and it's an actual island now that forces you in either directions, and it kind of expands out even more now because they had the same concerns that you had. So it has really been beefed up, and you're not going to want to take that left across the two sides there.
So if I'm thinking of taking the left, I'm going to see an island that's going to prevent me from wanting to take the left? Is that what you're saying? So I'm just going to have to go turn around in the Bagel World parking lot and go the other way?
I mean, I guess I'll just offer that the way that most people travel is either you're familiar with the area already, this is something you come to on a semi-regular basis at least, or you'll be using wayfinding. The wayfinding will know that this here is a prohibited movement, and therefore if you're just following your wayfinding, you'll be taking the left onto Endicott Street and entering via that access point. So I would say there's very few people that are not either following wayfinding or don't already know the area well enough to know how to get into and out of a site that they would be going to with any regularity. And again, the advertising, the signage does help promote that. We're working, one of the comments that we received from engineering was to increase the amount of wayfinding on the site, so that includes vehicles getting onto the site as well as getting around the site to help make that more obvious than what was originally proposed here. So we'll be expanding upon that wayfinding and looking to draw people in. Again, our aim is safety. We don't want that vehicle coming down here either.
Noontime on a Monday. People are looking for their fast food options on Endicott Street, which is the new, similar to the auto mile across on 114. Now we have the fast food mile, right? So now we're going to take our left, enter the site, our right, down Endicott, enter the site, go through the drive-through down below, and then come up. But if we want to get back on Sylvan, we don't want to get bothered by taking that Endicott Street turn. So we're going to go down the southern end. And how are we going to kind of prevent all these turning movements to kind of, people are going to want to get into the Sylvan Street lane, so they're not going to be in the right lane. They're going to come over into the other lane, but we're going to be doubly congested there because we have a serviceable light that's going to be are we going to have to adjust the traffic light? How is that, if we're going to have, it seems to me the focus of the restaurant is more drive-through oriented than seated, right? Today, people are going to zip through the drive-through, grab their food and go, and we got to get them in and off the site safely without these congested movements. And if, as you know, in front of that site, that is, and I work over in that area, it's always notoriously congested, especially coming up from the south, if you will. That's probably my biggest concern. And did you consider going the other way, or did you consider the other direction for the drive-through, or did you consider maybe keeping that? I guess you can't keep that other exit open because it won't make sense with a drive-through.
Yeah, we went through a number of iterations as we do with any process, and Matt can speak to some specifics about this, but this was really the only way to lay out the site to get all of the needs of Canes in terms of parking and drive-through queuing, as well as providing access to both roadways. I'll offer that the access is quite similar to other access points along Endicott Street, especially that are right in, right out. They have the median divided. Vehicles seeking to go to Sylvan, again, you're either going to follow your wayfinding or you already know your way to get back there. This access, we have a bit better access than the properties to the east, the Flip the Bird and the Wendy's, and down the street, the Burger King, that all only allow you to come off of Endicott Street and then exit back onto Endicott Street. We at least have a benefit here of the Sylvan Street driveway, which does distribute the vehicles onto two primary roadways. It reduces the queuing on site. It makes it easier and more convenient for people to get onto the site. And again, we view this as another option. A site like Canes often seeks out being close to other competitors because it's somebody that is going to come to lunch. They're going to find what is most convenient to them. One day they may need the chicken tender, right? But another day they might just try to figure out, based on where they're going to, where they're coming from, what's the most convenient way for them to get in and out of a site. This is just another option for that person that comes into this area.
Okay, question on the drive-through up in the right-hand corner. It appears that you have a car that can cross over. So are we encouraging that, prohibiting that when you get about...
This is under stop control.
Where they seem to cross over.
Right
at
here,
the-
you're talking about right here?
No, to the right,
No.
to the right. Back a slide. To the right corner, a little lower than the corner. Where you show the car that crosses, yeah. What's the point of that? I'm curious.
Matt Ashley with Bowler. So Canes has peak times and non-peak times. So what you're seeing here is kind of a hybrid of both pictured, but during non-peak times, both of the menu boards will be open. You can enter the drive-through, utilize either of those ordering points, and then after that, you would consolidate into a single lane, payment window and pickup window here. During peak times, these menu boards will get shut down, and there'll be crew members out there taking your orders on iPads or tablets. I'm not sure if they're actually Apple products. And, you'll do payment there as well, and then you'll get pulled up here. And then you'll have crew members that will run your food into your car so they can utilize both of the lanes here during those busier times. But non-peak times is essentially you'd come over and then consolidate just into that one lane right there.
In the middle of January, we're going to be doing that?
Yeah, all times of years. The shift times will be adjusted according to weather, temperature, and that sort of thing.
Okay. Down below the plan, if you can pull it up a little bit, Josh. The bottom, there's like a tooth right there sticking out on the bottom right part of the plan. You've got cars coming in, and I'm not sure what is the point of that little island, if you will. Right there, yeah, the tooth, south of that. Yeah.
So that's the entrance to the drive-through right here. So that's just kind of ending the drive or the parking area here, having a landscape feature, and then go up this way.
What's to the right of that area? What's in there to the?
This is
No, to the left. I know that's off-site, but no, that paved area, what is the
Here?
Nope, to the right, Right there, that down below, you've got an area of pavement?
No, this is all landscaping down here.
No, but above it.
Right here.
there. What's all that gonna be?
That's pavement, yeah, to maintain access down to this area down here. It is part of our property. We're not proposing to,
Oh, okay, so that's that's
Yeah.
Peabody property for drainage or snow storage or what have you?
not really sure what its function is right now. Kind of vacant, as you can see from the picture. But it's just, we're leaving it open to get down there if the landlord wanted to, I don't know, get down there to the rest of his property, but we're not proposing to use anything down there, not touch it, just kind of leave it as is.
Yeah, like the previous applicant, do you show areas of snow storage that you'd have? And I know you've got wetlands behind you, so.
Yep,
On
it's
the
located
plan?
right on our site plan. It's labeled out.
Can you just
all the
point it
different
out for the
areas.
audience?
Yep.
Thank you.
Which sheet?
Right, this one's perfect.
Okay.
So you'll see right here, it's unlabeled. I think it's labeled SNS, snow storage. But essentially, we have these nice landscaped areas down here that we can utilize as long as over here and down in this corner as well. Didn't want to put anything down here closer down to the river.
Okay. So, but we'll truck off after so many feet? Because you've got areas there that might be used for site visibility, if you're looking back, if we're dumping the snow on our nice, expensive landscaping?
We tried to coordinate the two between the landscape plan. But yeah, if snow storage becomes too much for the site to handle, it would be shipped off.
Okay. And the final question I had is on the signs. I just think it's a bad precedent if we allow two signs to, show the property, and people will see it and very quickly know the location. I think the other 6 signs are a bit superfluous. While you can, put them inside and people can enjoy the artwork, I think it's a bad precedent for the area and the town. If we allow 8 signs here, then the next applicant's going to want 10 signs. So I think we've had that bylaw for a long time. People are going to be able to find the signs, and I don't know if part of those are menu boards, which I'm okay with, if we're counting those as signs.
We are not.
We are not, okay. I just think, I appreciate the need for artwork, but I'm not sure we need it in the back of the building and/or the side of the building. We're going to put a big enough sign, if they need a marquee sign, to show, the name of the building. That's really what you're typically allowed, and one on each, perhaps, face, one on Endicott and one on Sylvan, but.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure we need 8 signs. So, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Jim. Michael DeCoulis, any questions or comments?
Yeah, thanks, Lou. Let me just pull up my list, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Is this on? Yeah, okay. So one of my questions was, and it kind of goes from that right in, right out, and you talked about there being an island and a turn, and when I originally looked at the fire truck access, originally you showed it coming in that right turn, which I'm assuming is not going to be the case. If it's a Danvers firefighter, they'd be coming from Sylvan Street, turning onto Endicott, and then turning in that north entrance, which is what appears you guys showed as a secondary fire truck access. That fire truck access, they'd be coming in there, and then would it be like a 6-inch curb and they'd be turning over it to get out of that right turn back onto Sylvan?
Matt Ashworth Bowler. That's correct. It's designed to be a mountable curb for larger vehicles to get over it if they needed to.
That's what I figured. It seemed pretty tight for the fire truck, but I'm sure you guys did your truck turning.
Yeah, we coordinated with both fire departments with both of their trucks and gave them those turns, and they were both comfortable with how everything was.
Okay, that's great. And then another thing was, I know you mentioned it was a mural, and they was local. Do they use local muralists, or is it or do you guys, do you coordinate with local artists, or how does that kind of work? I was just curious.
Melissa Brochel with Raising Cane's. Yes, we have had local muralists work on the murals that are on the outside of the buildings. It would be specific to, really however the jurisdiction would want to see it, but we are open to it.
Cool. And then, so I think it's great that you're doing an actual mural. I think it's just unique for fast food restaurants for sure. Are the other signs like vinyl and polycarbonate, like push-through lettering? Is that, I saw it on there, but I was trying to clarify, is that what they are?
So the Red Dog banner is a substrate. It's on a printed material and then mounted to the building. The Kane's mural itself is painted on, and the wall signs are also wall-mounted. They're internally illuminated. Jennifer, I'm going to defer to you. Are there any others that are painted as of right now that we're currently showing?
No, the painted mural is our main point of painting, and the logo signs are a thermoform plastic. So they're not a push-through per se for letters. It's more of a formed oval.
Okay, thank you. And then while you're on the sign page, can you, I know, Jim, you just mentioned 8 signs. Is 8 the correct number? And if so, can you just, I think on that plan you're identifying them, but in the red letters it shows 6. So is there 2 other signs that I'm missing, or?
Yeah, can we actually go back to the site
There's
plan?
there's a plan with like the signage packet. Yeah, right there. So,
The 4 wall signs that we're proposing are on all 4 sides of the building.
so those are the 4x8 plastic, the ones that we just mentioned, yeah.
And that's A, the 4x8 wall signs.
Yeah.
The H, which is the pre-sale menu board, and
We're-
then we are also.
So that's not a sign?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So if I could just clarify, I'm sorry, no, that might be helpful. The 4 wall signs that we just discussed.
Yeah.
The freestanding pylon sign on the corner.
That's the J, is it?
Yes.
If I see that correct?
And
Yeah.
then from a zoning perspective, the painted mural, the red dog, and the One Love canopy letters, we are, from a zoning interpretation, considering them and calling them signs.
Okay, so it's 4 Raising Cane signs on the building, 1 pole-mounted sign, and then what you guys are saying, the other 3 signs are considered signs, right?
They
Is
are
that-
considered,
okay.
right.
Okay. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. That's all I have. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Great, thank you, Mike. Let's see, Tim Spittle.
Okay, maybe I'll just pick up signs since that's where we were. I think the question on, well, first of all, when I saw sort of this many signs being requested, I thought that was a bit much, but the actual renderings of the elevations, it doesn't seem to me like it's really that overbearing. I think the one thing I want to check, maybe this is a question more for town staff, right, which is 2 questions. One being, so we've determined that a mural of a dog is a sign, and that concerns me. Like, there's definitely in the signage description, it is a advertisement. And if I saw a picture of a dog, I don't know that I would think that's an advertisement. It's just a picture of a dog. And I'd rather have a picture of a dog than no dog. So that's,
Well, he might be the mascot, it sounds like.
I think there's a social science survey we could run to see what constitutes as an advertisement based on how many people are going to interpret it as such, but I just see a nice picture of a dog.
There is also words on that, just for informational purposes.
Okay.
Yep.
It says Kane 1, I think, on one of them.
Yeah.
Correct. And Melissa Brochel with Kane's. Just to update again, I know I had mentioned in the presentation that we are now updating our graphic to the Kane 3 version, which is the newest mascot, I would call it. As far as that's concerned, though, we do have an option that does not show any Raising Cane's logo or company identifiers listed on it. We can show that as an option as well. If you would consider the banner without any type of copy as an artistic feature rather than as a sign, but that is something that we have as an option. That's the newer version of the. Oh, I also want to show this as well. That is the new copy or that's the new graphic without the Kane's wording.
Cute.
So, I mean, there's a zoning administrator question there as whether or not it constitutes a sign, but we obviously still have the choice whether or not, sorry?
That would also count as a sign, but the board does have the ability to.
So I disagree that that's a sign, and I would definitely grant a waiver for that sign.
It's fine.
And this is the newer graphic of the mural.
This is an alternate option that we also have available if we didn't want to see the Raising Cane's logo listed again within the mural. This is an alternate option that does incorporate some of the historic icons that I had mentioned in the history of Cane's, with the hard hat from our CEO and founder doing the Boilermaker work, the sockeye salmon's there. You also see the disco ball. Cane is the center of all things Raising Cane's. And the disco ball's on there as well, just to kind of show the history of Cane's without actually listing the word Raising Cane's.
Yep.
And that would be here.
Yep.
Correct,
So
that
my-
would take place of that
And
mural.
And that's a mural that's painted on the building.
Yep. So to the extent that there's options for both the, what are we calling it, the red dog and the painted mural to be sort of brand agnostic but themed as more of murals, I would obviously be in favor of that. I think that would go a long way in terms of limiting concerns about the number of signs. One Love, maybe someone recognizes that as your catchphrase. I just see the words One Love, so I sort of feel okay with those, and then that just boils down to, according to the zoning bylaw, we still would need to restrict the number of those 4x8 wall signs from 4 to 2, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, everything that we discussed, all of the items that have been discussed tonight from a zoning perspective, now you do have the ability to waive.
Mhm.
That's what we're discussing. It would just, as Jim alluded to earlier, it would be just one sign that faces each facade that faces a street. So it would technically be a sign that faces Endicott and then a sign that faces Sylvan. So that's the zoning bylaw, minimum.
Mhm.
You have the opportunity to do more if that's the will of the board.
I would say that's the zoning bylaw maximum right now, is 2 signs.
Yeah, right.
So if we're
Right,
gonna.
right, that's
encourage-
right. Sorry,
if we're
wrong
gonna-
word. Sorry, max.
I think if we're changing the bylaw now to allow murals and other signs, I think it's not for this board to do. We need the town town meeting to pass that law. I know we have
So-
discretion, but 4 times the number of signs, I think is getting a little bit much. It's an ask, and you can always ask, but I think what we heard from town meeting members this evening is we're going above and beyond. If we approve this,
I think it's my time for questions, Jim.
well, I thought we were discussing it.
Okay, I still have questions. Okay.
All right.
If we're
ahead,
asking
Jim.
for more wayfinding, does that count as signs?
Like directional signage? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so the menu board's directional signage doesn't.
Menu board menu board's fine, the one is allowed, the size of it's fine. Just while we're talking about waivers of signage, just for informational, the pylon freestanding sign on the corner it's supposed to be a maximum of 20 feet, and it's being proposed at a maximum at 25 feet. So that's just another signage waiver
Is
that's
that like
being.
square footage? Is that what you're basing that
Square
on?
foot, the square footage of the sign is fine, it's just the height of the sign.
Oh, height of the
The
sign.
height of where the sign would sit is a maximum of 20 feet, and it's being proposed at 25.
Just out of curiosity, and sorry, Tim, to cut in on that, but
Me too, as well.
Are the other signs on that Endicott Street that 20 feet, like the Wendy's and the Flip the Bird and all the Fidelity one that's existing, like are they that same height, or do we know?
I do not know.
Okay.
But they would be, from a zoning perspective, have to, unless they got a variance or,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
yeah,
All right,
that type of-
thanks.
We believe that Flip the Bird is actually taller than what we are proposing. And what we've done, I know that that this board isn't particularly used to dealing with signage, but when you do the calculation for attached wall signs under the zoning bylaw, you can have 10% of the facade of the building in square footage. That comes out to, we could have one big 182 square foot ugly sign on the building. Rather than doing that, our building mounted signs are 24 square feet. They're small, and they're on each side of the building. That was the one that shown on each side of the building. It's these. They're just 24 square feet. So while the bylaw says that you can have 10% of the facade of the building, when you think about that, and I've made this argument many times with regard to signage, and it had been previously before the Board of Appeals, it's now before you. It's a better look. It's more informative, and it's more attractive to have multiple smaller signs rather than one great big sign. And that's what we've done here, is made the sign smaller.
Chairman McCann, just a question of clarification, and then I want to turn back to Tim for any questions he had. With respect to the square footage, do you know sort of with the multiple signs, what's that the equivalent to in terms of the square footage currently? You might have already said it, but
I did calculate it in the application. We could have 182 square feet, and if you're freestanding sign, 4 attached wall signs, and I added in the pre-order board, which I think we needed to ask for, but maybe we didn't. That comes in slightly less, 181.
Oh, okay. So you're right.
So
okay, but it's just
it's
so you're
just
right under in terms
taking
of
the
square
aggregate.
footage.
Now, what isn't included in that 181 square feet is the mural and the graphic that we've been talking about, that I have argued in my application and as well in my communications with planning staff and the planning director. Those really are not signs, particularly if we take off the canes and we call it and it is a mural with a graphic, but it doesn't have any wording on it, for example. Is that not artwork as a so
the 181 square feet that does not include what staff considers to be signage. So if you considered all that staff is considering signs, it would exceed that, correct?
Correct. The dog graphic is 32 square feet. The One Love letters are 17 and a half square feet, and the mural is about 140.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So, Tim, I'm sorry, back to you. Questions? Any further questions you have?
I think that answers all the questions. I mean, I think where I stand on it is if it's the non-branded mural and dog, I think that goes a long way. I could kind of make the same argument for the One Love thing, because I maybe that's just I don't know the Canes brand well enough. That just seems like some decoration to me. So the only thing I'd say is, to the extent it would be nice to know if there are other comparable signs that are equally 25 feet. Otherwise, it kind of seems like bring it down to 20 would be preferable, just to try to adhere to the bylaws where there's an easy win. In terms of the signs on each of the 4 sides, it's, I think that I can understand why on a corner lot you want people coming to be able to see from the side. And so my initial instinct was that might be fine, but if you do have quite a large pylon sign, they should be able to see that. So I think I'm more on the fence about whether or not they are smaller signs, so it doesn't worry me as much. But I do think those 2 main changes to the mural and the dog would be important to get this waiver. I'll jump to traffic. And actually, I think, again, most of my questions are for staff, because the engineering memo on July 24th and the traffic peer review memo from today, August 12th.
Yep.
Like, what is the August 12th one? It doesn't say the same thing as the July 24th one. So what is the recommendation from the town engineer about what needs to be reviewed?
Hold on one moment. Let me bring it up. 1 second.
Do you want to speak to what the concern
Yeah,
is? Because
so
it
just
really is
for
quite
just for
limited.
context, the planning office received that initial memo from that July memo with the comments, and then the engineering staff, and I don't hope to misspeak, met with or discussed the memo and comments with Jason and the gentleman from Bowler, with Matt from Bowler. So I wasn't part of that meeting. And then out of that conversation with engineering and the development team, this was produced. Is that correct?
Correct. I think we got to agreement. I mean, I don't want to fully speak for the engineering department, but I think we got to agreement that the great majority of their comments could be addressed through some plan updates and the like, and additional information provided by the project team. The one remaining issue that we couldn't quite work through in conversation with the engineering department was just essentially the location of the driveway on Endicott Street and its interaction with the traffic signal at the Sylvan-Endicott intersection. So vehicles coming from the Sylvan-Endicott intersection, be they via northbound right turn or a southbound left turn, interacting with that driveway on Endicott Street. So that was what engineering wanted to have, I think in their words, a third party to review on behalf of the town whether or not that was a safe condition. It's my opinion that it would be a safe condition. I presented that to them. As we talked through everything else, it felt like that was, if it was going to go out to peer review, if that was the pleasure of the board, that the focus could really just be on that one interaction instead of looking at everything that you possibly could look at, because I think the rest of town staff was comfortable.
Was there issue the proximity of the driveway to that intersection, or I guess I don't.
I think maybe perhaps, again, I don't want to speak directly on behalf of them. I think primarily it was just verifying that sight lines were appropriate, that vehicles exiting from the Canes driveway could appropriately see vehicles coming from the signalized intersection. Again, we've worked with Matt and his team in landscape architecture to keep all of the plantings low, to make sure that the sign is located in an appropriate location, to maximize the visibility. I think what we'll end up with is more visibility than what exists today at the Fidelity site, where there wasn't as much thought given to how everything lays out. Matt and his team did a great job with that part. So we don't feel that there's a concern specific to those sightlines, but that was just where we left it with the conversation, and we wanted to move it towards the board.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like usually when we've had peer review recommendations, there's like a particular thing, so it's nice to know like that's the issue. But I guess it does say in the the decision or the motion that the scope will be put together with planning and engineering staff.
Yeah,
but
right.
I guess
This just we just got this today.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, because the memo from today is quite broad, right? It's almost like re-review the whole thing.
So I think that once, depending on what happens tonight, when we meet with engineering, that we would try and probably focus it a little bit more, potentially, if that's your concern.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to dig at is like, what is the assumption or the key point that we would, like, alternative we would consider? Because I can think of issues that have come before us where, you know, the exact placement of an island might affect the turning radius, like something like that, which is very specific and we want a second set of eyes on.
Right.
This one just seems a little more vague to me, and so I would want to know what we're going to get out of that besides just redoing the whole thing.
I can't speak for engineering, as sort of like Jason is saying, but I think we would probably, in communication with them, try and get a little bit more detail of like what their concerns are. If this isn't satisfactory to you, I mean.
Well, just the memo's not very specific of what they're taking issue with. Like the best articulation we've heard about it has been from the applicant right now.
Right.
If I could perhaps just offer a little bit more. I know that that location of the driveway, I mean, we worked to get as far from the signalized intersection as we could while still having the appropriate operations of the site, of the drive-through queuing, the building prototypes, all of that. So that driveway location, for all intents and purposes, is fixed. There's not really a way, like we can't, I know there was a comment about maintaining the second access on Endicott Street. We actually see that as a positive of closing that. There's fewer conflict points, there's fewer potential movements. We couldn't operate that driveway and still have the site work the way that it needs to fit all the parking, all the drive-through queuing that we need to operate the building. So to the point of what might come out of a peer review, sure, if the site was 100 feet further to the east, would it benefit it? Yeah, I mean, I can't argue that it wouldn't, but there isn't really a place to be able to move that driveway from its current location. And we've done what we can with landscaping and the like to keep that area entirely clear. So there isn't really anything more that would change on the front of that site. I wouldn't expect.
Yeah, and so I guess maybe where we can leave it at that, because I think we can come back to the board and discuss like what we would recommend for the scope of what the peer review would be. But maybe could you help us understand, because the level of service like didn't show any major impacts from this assumption, the assumptions that were put into this. Are there any key assumptions that would affect that? Like what would we might dig into to look at sensitivity analyses to see what might come about?
There's a level of engineering judgment used in how to assign the vehicle trips around to the different roadways, who wants to ultimately go south, who ultimately wants to get to 128, all of those things. There's certainly changes that could be made, right? Like we take the best information that we have available, the existing traffic volumes, the access to the site, our understanding of the area. Could someone change a 10% to a 15% and it shifts 5 vehicles from a certain movement to another? Of course they could. I really wouldn't expect there to be much appreciable change, but that's probably a point that someone, having looked briefly at the memo, I know that it does bring up both trip generation and trip distribution, just as a way to level set the number of vehicle trips that you're talking about. So if you were to move 5 or 10 vehicles to a particular movement, it would result in a different number, but it wouldn't result in a significant impact anyway, just because given this roadway network, vehicles are going to get distributed all around. And a lot of the vehicles are already on the roadway. A lot of the vehicles are already coming to Endicott Street to get lunch. They're just going into a different driveway.
Got it. Yeah, so I mean, I guess where I sit with traffic, right, is it feels a little like our decision's been made for us because we only have a motion here for peer review, right? Like we don't have a decision in front of us.
Yeah, that's not necessarily just because of this, but we were still working on the site plan. The revised site plan hasn't been submitted to us. We were still working through, the development team was still working through a revised updated plan from engineering comments, separated from this traffic issue. That's why we weren't prepared to vote on the site plan review tonight, which is separate sort of from the traffic question.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Because, on the one hand, we've done a handful of traffic peer reviews, I think, in certain situations. I mean, this is a very busy intersection. It's a pretty significant change in use. There can be a knee-jerk to just get a second opinion. I do think to the extent that there is like a particular assumption that we're calling into question, like I do like specificity there of what we think might be wrong, and I don't see that here. So I'm not completely sold on peer review, or like the engineering could just ask the current consultant to change an assumption and see what happens, right? Like it feels like peer review is just a knee jerk because it's a big project and we just want a second opinion, but I don't always know that that's appropriate if we don't have a clear articulation of why. So that's where I sit on that. Thanks.
Tim, anything further?
No, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Jean Hartnett, any questions or concerns?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I think my main concern on the right out, what was preventing the left turn on Sylvan Street, you answered and will be evident in the revised site plan. I was also questioning, I know there's a sidewalk on Sylvan Street. It doesn't seem like there's an existing sidewalk on Endicott. Is that true?
Attached with Buller. Yeah, there's sidewalks on both frontages there. And then we have a sidewalk connection out to Sylvan Street.
Okay, so I appreciate all the landscape plantings and the varieties, but it doesn't look like on the plan there is a sidewalk on Endicott Street.
Sorry, I just want to correct my earlier statement. There is a sidewalk on Sylvan Street, but it's on the opposite side, not on our frontage. But there's a sidewalk on Endicott Street. I'm sorry. I got my streets backed up.
Okay.
Opposite side of Endicott Street
Right.
on our frontage. Sylvan Street does have a sidewalk.
Right.
And then can you repeat that question? Sorry, I was.
Yeah, there's no existing sidewalk on your side of the street on Endicott Street. It looks like there might be sort of a sidewalk in front of Flip the Bird. Would you guys consider creating a sidewalk to sort of extend that? I know it's like sort of piecemealed together if you go along that side of Endicott Street now, but it would be nice to have a little bit more connectivity for pedestrians And it looks like, I mean, you have a pretty wide buffer of planting, so maybe it could fit along there.
So the question is to add a
Yeah,
sidewalk here?
like right there, yeah.
Yeah, so right now there is a sidewalk that comes down here, and then I believe there's a crossing that goes across right here.
Right,
We
but
can
there's nothing on this side.
There's nothing here now.
Yeah.
We can certainly take a look at that. We haven't really looked at it as what it would connect to or sense there, but there is some room there, so we can take a look for sure.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all that we haven't already discussed. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jane, and I'll try to keep my comments or questions brief as well, because we've already had a pretty robust discussion. I do have some concerns with respect to the. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
okay.
we can hear you.
Great. I do have some concerns with respect to traffic as well. You know, given that intersection, it is a change of use, and so and I'm not I'm not being an engineer and not being a traffic expert. I would give the I would definitely I would defer to our to the views of our town engineer in terms of some of the concerns. So yeah, I would be in favor of a traffic peer review to be in the scope of which to be determined between engineering and planning staff to sort of determine what the proper scope is to make sure that it's that it's efficiently focused, but at the same time not unduly narrowed as well. I do also, picking up on Jane's comments, the sidewalk is definitely a consideration, because we do want to make sure that it is as that the area is as to the extent that we can is as friendly or friendlier to pedestrians that we can. So to the extent that the applicant can take a look to see about putting a sidewalk where there was none before, that I would find that I would be in favor of that. I do have a question for the applicant with respect to signs. So with respect to signs, I guess I know that you have a location in Saugus, and I'm not overly familiar with that location. Could the applicant explain, do you have like a similar number of signs at the Saugus store?
What we are, this is Melissa Brochel with Raising Cane's. What we're proposing today is our standard sign package. We did present a standard sign package for the Saugus location as well. And the jurisdiction approved what they believed to be appropriate. We still do have a large portion of signs there, but I would have to confirm exactly what we have in comparison to this.
Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing the number of signs and sort of the and the square footage as well. And with respect to the sort of the standalone sign, the sort of the freestanding sign, I would be interested to see what surrounding signs are, because and wondering why 25 versus 20 feet. I understand if you could say, well, the neighbors are 25 feet, but still, I mean, the limit is 20. So I'm more of the point of, well, if we're if it's within the why go higher? Just because the neighbor is higher, I don't know if that's the best explanation. And with respect to I'm also concerned about just the number of signs, because there just seem to be, and again, especially like on the one side where you have the mural, as well as the dog. I think that's it just seems like an awful lot of signs for the property, and as Jim Sears mentioned, some could be certainly moved inside. I know, even for example with the dog, I think I saw the dog was also on the drive-through sort of menu board. So it's not like the dog is, there still would be a place for the dog in the area, but just not in that particular location. So I would be interested in seeing some changes with respect to signage, and was answering a few questions as well, just in terms of surrounding, the Saugus location, for example, as well as for the freestanding sign comparison to the surrounding area, and an explanation as to why it needs to be higher.
Understood.
So, yep, those are sort of my comments and questions. Any further questions or comments by the board? This is a public hearing, so I did want to turn it over to see if any members of the public have any questions or comments for the applicant as well.
Yes, there is someone from the public, and she's going to the podium.
Great. If they could come up and
Thank you.
introduce themselves and present any questions to the chair, please.
Great, thank you. And thank you for the presentation. I agree with Mr. Sears. I do live within the vicinity. I'm within a quarter of a mile of living with this proposed location, and I do travel civil.
I'm sorry. Ma'am.
I thought I did say it.
Could you,
I'm sorry.
Could you please state your name and address? I
Yep.
didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Karen Roy, Flint Street, Danvers.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I'll start again that I agree with Mr. Sears. I do live in the vicinity. I do travel Sylvan and Endicott streets almost daily. And I agree that I don't think there's any way to prevent people from turning left across the road, Sylvan Street, into the restaurant. I see it all the time, right? We see it within restaurants, we see it within businesses on Sylvan Street, and it causes traffic jams, it causes near accidents, people trying to come out of Petco, cross two lanes. It's very dangerous. If Peabody does approve that entrance, I would suggest maybe curving the driveway so that you can only enter from the Sylvan Street location. You cannot cut across. If you were coming down Sylvan Street, you could not cross the two lanes and get in. If you curve it, there's no way to get in. That's if Peabody approves it. Personally, I think 8 signs is excessive. I would suggest the non-essential signage, the mural, the dog graphic, be moved inside the building, as was suggested. And I'm just curious, can anybody tell me how many signs Flip the Bird has?
I'm not. Josh, is that something you're aware of?
No, I mean, I mean.
It didn't come to us for sign waivers.
No, so we don't have that information. I mean, you could do a quick street view, but
We're doing a Google search.
Street view's outdated.
Okay.
On Google. It was top salad on Google Earth. So.
No?
Looks like they have more signs than there should.
Okay.
That's the actual
Curious. Regarding the hours, will the restaurant be open till 3:30 as well as the drive-through, or is it the restaurant closes at a certain hour and the drive-through is open till 3:30?
Good question. Does the applicant have the answer to that question?
Typically, we would keep the restaurant open. If there are concerns about keeping the restaurant itself open, we have closed the restaurant specifically for indoor dining for other locations and kept the drive-through open, but if there's no restrictions, we would typically keep it open.
Does the board or the chair know about the other restaurants on Endicott Street, what they do for restaurant hours? I know their drive-throughs are open late, but
yeah, I know that Taco Bell's
I'm not aware of that
drive-through
myself,
is open till 3 a.m. I do not
right,
know.
oh no, I'm aware of that. I'm aware that all the drive-throughs are open late, but what about the restaurant? If this restaurant's staying open till 3:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the.
Okay, just
I think
something to
that's
consider.
probably your question.
I don't think you need a restaurant open till 3:30 in the morning, to be honest with you, but again, you're the board, you make the decisions. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And one last
Okay.
thing to be aware of, I travel Route 1 south quite often. I have not eaten at Raising Cane, but I drive by it quite often between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m. The traffic backs up onto Route 1. I have seen so many near misses trying to get beyond there. I go to a place that a couple of driveways past Raising Cane. It's almost impossible. You have to go basically from the middle lane, quickly cut over because the slow lane, right, the right lane getting into Raising Cane is backed up onto Route 1. It might be worth a phone call to Saugus Police Department, Saugus Town Hall, just something to consider. If you haven't been by there, take a ride between those hours and you'll see the backup, and I'm concerned about that happening on Sylvan Street. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for members of the public?
Yes.
Yes. Hi,
Okay.
my name is Ellen Graham. I agree about Sylvan Street. It has to be a huge cut, so Sylvan, they will take a left. We know they will. I know people who will. My other concern is on Endicott Street, when you take that left, it's 2 lanes. The way that light is set up, you can take a right turn at the same time, so you have to take that left turn and immediately get over to the right to get in. So I don't know if we can adjust the light, if it's not a right turn on red, because I know that's difficult to get over even for the sometimes further down for some of those. And the signs, I think 8 is overkill. I don't think a mural and a picture of a dog is a sign either. So just my 2 cents. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from members of the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. Karen Nastic, Loxley Road. I have the same concerns about the traffic. I have tried to leave Fidelity, and there is not a great way that, you always have access at certain times. It's just a lot of traffic. And they're allowed to be, it's 2.5 minutes they're going to be in lane. I think that's a lot of backup, a lot of new people coming out. I can't think of a worse intersection to put this busy restaurant in here. It's going to back up 114 in both directions. It's going to back up people getting from 1A, getting down from the port in this way when they're trying to get to our old Bank of America closed up. Anybody that's banks at Bank of America has to go through there. It's just a really odd place to pick to put this very busy restaurant that has a reputation for backing up traffic. You just type it in and ask about traffic issues, and they have to say that the people who have the restaurant, I don't know who pays for traffic details, but that's also been mentioned in the articles that are online. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from members of the public?
No.
Okay, I'm going to come back then to the board, and so what is the will of the board? It looks like we have some outstanding questions with respect to. Well, it looks like the site plan is not, at least a completed site plan would not be before us for a vote. There's some additional work that needs to be done, and it does look though that there is I think there's been a suggestion by town engineer for traffic peer review, and also I believe that the issue of sign waivers is before us, but that is I'm not sure what the will of the board is with respect to that, because I believe that there are definitely some concerns I think expressed by members of the board with respect to signs and some additional information that's needed.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak on behalf of the applicant?
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. We do have engineering department comments. As I mentioned during my presentation, we are prepared to submit a response memo that's already been reviewed with the engineering department, so we think that all of those items are covered, but that does have to go through the normal process with some site plan revisions being reflected there. And we have heard the comments with regard to signage. So what we would request is that the signs, the sign waiver and the site plan discussion be continued till your next meeting in September, beginning of September. I think it's September 9th, to allow us time to complete that process and to come back to you with some responses with regard to the signage, answer some questions that we've heard with regard to signage in the general area, et cetera, and to respond to the engineering department comments and provide the updated site plan for hopefully a vote that evening. If the board does wish to have a traffic peer review, I think, as our traffic consultant indicated, that it may be more of a look over as far as the engineering department wanting that, as opposed to any real particular issues. But if the planning department, no, I should say, if the planning board would like a peer review, we would request that staff and the engineering department be authorized to define the scope a little bit further than what was in the memo that came out today from the engineering department, as well as to select the peer reviewer so that we can have that done and be ready to have that completed and presented at the September 9th meeting. Thank you.
Very good. Okay. So coming back then to the board, I know that there is a request for, in terms of for the traffic, to the traffic peer review. I myself would be in favor of that, but I wasn't sure what's the will of the board with respect to that.
I'm in favor of it as well. I think there's some definite concerns with the access and the amount of traffic that queues at that location, and from what we're hearing, I think it'd be prudent to do that. So, you got my vote.
Okay. Got it. Very good.
I don't
Any
know
other
who else wants to
members?
chime in?
Yeah, anyone else wants to chime in on that for traffic peer review?
I would be in favor of the peer review. My only concern is that going to be enough time, 4 weeks, to select a peer review and have them complete the work?
Yeah, especially towards the end of summer. Attorney McCann?
I think it should be. We would certainly like to aim for that. So, yes.
Okay. Just coming back on peer review, so we heard from myself, Jim, and Jean. Tim, what are your thoughts with respect to peer review?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think my point was just narrowing the scope to be specific about what's being peer reviewed. And again, to Gene's point, that's especially important to get it done in 4 weeks because, rebuilding the whole thing wouldn't be feasible.
Sure. Okay. Got it. Okay. Michael DeCoulis?
Yeah, I agree with Tim's comments.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So, very good. So, I think we do have in your, so Josh, just in terms of the order here, it looks like we will be doing a motion for peer review, and we would be also then continuing both the site plan review as well as the sign waiver, and so those would be by separate items. So I think we can do the peer review first. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay. So can I, Jean, I think you have it. Is that something, do you mind reading and making a motion?
Yeah. $200 Endicott Street, Danvers, Raising Cane's, peer review of traffic report. The planning board votes to move forward with a third-party traffic peer review to examine the traffic report submitted for the proposed development project at 200 Endicott Street, Danvers, Raising Cane's, under Mass General Law 53G outside consultants. Planning and engineering staff will put together a scope of the peer review and select the third-party peer reviewer.
Okay, very good. Motion's been made by Jean. Is there a second?
Second.
I think that was Jim. Yep. Okay.
There's a tie.
So first by Jean. Okay. Okay. First by Jean, second by Jim. And we'll do a roll call on that. So all in favor. Jean.
Yes.
Jim Sears.
Yes.
Tim Spittle.
Yes.
Michael DeCoulis.
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes as well. So we would be, so we'll be moving forward with the traffic, with the peer review. And so now the next item would be then I would need to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for 200 Endicott Street site plan review.
And the signage waivers.
Oh, can those be in one motion, or they can be?
That's fine.
Or do they have to be separate motions?
I think that's
Before
fine.
we get to that, Mr. Chairman, I just had a couple additional questions for the applicant that maybe
Please,
we
go
can
ahead.
kind of sharpen the issues.
Nope.
Just,
That sounds good.
there was questions about the hours of operation. I mean, 9:30 to 3:30 a.m. seemed I never knew that Taco Bell was open to 3 a.m. I'm not sure how much business they do after midnight, but maybe on the weekend, but it just seems a little bit excessive, and nothing good happens after midnight, I think. A lot of times, especially with, people driving, perhaps, what condition they might be in, pulling into a driving, a fast food restaurant at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. I'm just wondering the justification, and is it financially viable for a spot? I guess they would find that out pretty quickly. But if we're just selling chicken sandwiches, are we selling chicken sandwiches at 9:30 in the morning? Are we doing food prep? Why are we opening at 9:30 and saying open to 3:30? I guess I got to see the justification for that.
Well, I can respond to that in that that's outside the scope of site plan review. I will say that. Hours of operations in Danvers are permitted to be 24 hours a day. It's not that way in every community. And other restaurants are open those hours. It would be inappropriate to say this restaurant can't be open for those hours. Any restaurant along Endicott Street could change tomorrow and be open 24 hours, and they would not have to come back to this board. Danvers permits hours of operations 24 hours, and there's a reason, there's a need for it. There are certainly people going into restaurants who are working a third shift, who are hospital workers, emergency medical workers, police. The police station's right around the corner. Who might want to go in and get a sandwich or chicken fingers at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Is there a financial basis for it? Again, well outside of site plan review, but Raising Cane's is a business, and if nobody shows up, are they going to continue to be open at those hours? Maybe not. But it would be the same for any restaurant along there. I don't think you can pick out this one and say,
I'm not
you
trying.
can't be
I'm not
open.
trying to pick them out. I think it's helpful for you to elucidate that fact for the audience and the board, which may not have remembered that. So I appreciate that.
Okay.
As far as the, I think I would request from the chairman that maybe we get a legal opinion as to what a sign versus a mural is, so that we can have some specificity, because I think we're getting off into a different area now, where if we're feeling justified to allow a mural, I'm just seeing that as opening the door to an interpretation that may not have been what the town meeting members voted for when they did this commercial 3 zoning for the site. So I just hate to see, okay, so now McDonald's is going to paint a mural of a gentleman in a clown costume without an M on his, or a king's hat at Burger King. That's a nice mural, but it seems to be targeted marketing, and I don't think we need it all. And it's just sign pollution. I mean, you've got a 20-foot sign. I think once you enter the lot, you're at Raising Cane's. You don't need to be reminded of that on every corner of the building. It just seems excessive, and if we allow it here, we're going to hear it for the next, location that comes in. Look what you allowed at Raising Cane's. And if this is more closer to a residential neighborhood, are they going to have to look at lit signs that are neon or open till 24 hours of the day on every corner of the building? I just think it sets a bad precedent. We've always had 2 signs. That's been our rule. This board's been criticized the last few meetings about not following the rules that the town meeting members have voted on and that have been approved by our zoning bylaws. So I think we need to, recognize that and not go outside of it just because we're being threatened with a large sign on one side. It just seems to me that we need to look at the rules and try to adhere to them. So that's my opinion, and maybe town council, who is on, the payroll, can give us his interpretation of what a sign versus a mural or a, what have you is.
Sorry to interrupt, Jim. So I just wanted, for informational purposes, I was going to read into the record what the definition in the zoning bylaw of a sign is. Just any permanent or temporary device, letter, work billboard, placard, painting, drawing, poster, banner, pennant, insignia, trade flag, streamer, display, emblem, or representation used or which is in the nature of an advertisement, announcement, or direction, or is designed to attract the eye. So, as we speak, or as Brian Zacchelli, as the planning director and the zoning enforcement officer, when we were reviewing this application, it's not in writing, so we could make it official, but in his determination, in reading this definition of sign, in his determination and his position in town, he's saying that everything that's being proposed here is being, we in the planning office are considering all of these items to be signs, based on that definition. So.
Josh, just out of curiosity, like, so for the instance where the dog was, if there was an arrow below the dog, because it was then directional signing for the drive-through, is that no longer a sign? Because Wendy's has that exact example with a picture of Wendy and a sign, and then an arrow. So is that, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into this gray area, we could use, we did this, we had this conversation earlier this week with the development team, not with Attorney McCann, about these items. So I can't, for each individual item, it's hard for me to say on the spot right now, like yay or nay. It obviously starts to get gray, but this definition of sign, it's pretty straightforward. But the example that you gave is, that it is that's a hard one, right? That Brian and I will have to kind of discuss.
So I actually don't think that definition is very straightforward at all.
You don't?
You could read that as saying any painting that is designed to attract the eye. McDonald's yellow is designed to attract the eye. It's very bright yellow. That's now a sign? Like, that's crazy.
So,
I
but also,
that.
if I could just double click on what I said before, the zoning administrator's discretion is to pick which thing is a sign, interpret.
Yeah.
And then the way we can take into consideration if we disagree with that
Yes.
when deciding on a waiver.
Correct, yeah.
That's
You
what
could-
we're saying.
yeah.
So we don't have to change the definition.
Yeah, we don't have to, at this moment, we don't have to. Sure, I mean, right, you're saying, I guess there's a question, I guess if there's discrepancy on the board about that, there's two different things.
The zoning administrator has made that decision that indeed they are assigned.
Right.
And so now I think the question is with that determination, we can, with that determination, we can go and we either grant a waiver or we do not.
Yeah, correct, right. That's the simplest way to do it, right.
Is
for
that
sure.
a full yes or no? It's either.
What's that?
Is it a full yes or no with that waiver? Like, to Tim's point, if we don't believe that certain things are assigned, it doesn't matter at this point. It's either yes, so you get all 8 signs, or no, you get.
No, you could, you can, each individual, anything above the 2 is a waiver. So if the will of the board is to say, for example, we are okay with 5 or 6 and not 8, that's completely fine. It doesn't have to be 2 or 8.
And the 2 includes or does not include the pole-mounted sign on the corner?
The pole-mounted sign is included in the 8.
But included in the 2?
Yes.
No, it is not.
Okay.
Because
Yes, it is.
No, it is.
Well,
It's the direction, that's the.
hold on one second.
So
The 2 signs that are on the building, if you took off if you only had one sign on the building, and then you had that one pylon, you could do that.
Yes.
You could be creative in that way. But that
It's a
wasn't
matter
your
of
question, was it?
No, I'm saying because they have Endicott and Sylvan, they can't put one on either side and then
They
also
could take,
pole-mounted.
they could take a sign, the sign off Endicott or Sylvan, and only had one sign on the building, and they could do the pylon sign, and they wouldn't need a waiver. Is that your question? Does that help?
Yes, I think I'm good.
It's a total of 2. So they could be creative and only have one on the building and one on the freestanding sign. Or you could have 2 in the building and nothing else.
And not to get like super detailed, but I was just
Yeah.
looking around Danvers for different like location stuff, and so I drove down High Street on Google while we were sitting here, and so like
Right.
Dunkin' Donuts, for example, has Danvers runs on Dunkin' on one side.
It's a different zoning district.
Okay, so that's why they have multiple signs.
Yeah, depending on the situation.
But there's more allowed in downtown than on Endicott?
I don't have downtown memorized at this exact moment, but
'Cause they have like a
they are-
coffee cup with a
they
T
are-
in it.
They are different. They are different than.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. What was that?
No,
Sorry.
no, I think that's good. Thank you.
Josh,
Yes.
don't we have an allowance for like the first month or 2 when a business opens, they can have more signs?
Yes, but they're generally more like temporary in nature, probably like, open.
Temporary.
Yeah,
Grand
not
openings,
not
sort of
not
thing.
permanent.
Okay.
Like a
Um,
for sale, for rent or something.
Any other signage questions?
I will state again, the criteria for the signage waiver is not that of a variance. It is simply that the planning board may grant a waiver upon a finding that no substantial detriment shall result. So that's the bar that you're looking at. It's not a hardship. It's not any of the higher level. It is the lowest level, if you will, when we're talking about waivers. So
But detriment is, can be subject to, one person's detriment may be another's
Indeed.
not, correct?
I would agree with you on that, Mr. Chairman.
It's discretionary on purpose, right? So.
Josh, sorry to keep going back to this, but I'm trying to get my bearings a little bit. And so McDonald's, which is on the same street.
Yep.
There's a giant M on the side of the building. There's a McDonald's sign on the building. There's also a McDonald's sign on the road. There's a bunch of welcome signs, which according to that are also signs. So I guess I'm a little confused because is welcome a sign or is it not a sign? Is an M a sign? It's a logo. That's a sign to me.
I would say that M with the yellow.
And if there's signs in the window, are those also signs?
Yes.
So,
So, but
if I may, right, like, I think this is where rules are arbitrary, right? Like, the spirit of the law is what we're trying to adhere to.
Right.
I looked, I heard 7 signs, I was like, that's way too many. And I saw the picture and I was like, that seems fine. Right, so while I agree with, for example, what Jim brought up earlier, that like, we are getting a lot of flack for not adhering to the letter of the law as much as some people might want us to, like, the building looks fine. If we can reduce it a little bit so that way you come a little bit closer, I think that would be great.
And the Board of Appeals has granted signage variances for decades. And that may be how the McDonald's sign, there were multiple signs. I've gotten signage variances along Endicott Street for years, particularly for fast food type of restaurants. The bylaw has changed to put that discretion in your court, not ZBA anymore, and lowered the bar to waiver. So that's why when you look at McDonald's, that big M, yeah, I agree, that's a sign, and they probably got a variance for it. And the directional signs, the little welcome signs, if they're 4 square feet, 4 feet high, if they don't have a logo or something on, those are permitted, as many as you want, because those are the directional signs. But when you start having logos on them, that's becomes something a little different.
Got it. Good.
My last question, would the applicant agree to no outdoor audio condition? And the reason why I'm asking that is if we're open on a summer night to 3:30 in the morning and we've got outdoor audio, and say it's a very busy night because there was a show down the street or a movie or something happened, and people are, we're not using our headphones for our people that are out in the queue handing out sandwiches and we're shouting or making, like my biggest example is the Texas Roadhouse in Danvers has outdoor audio constantly. I don't understand why they play music outside. Maybe because they've got 6 people sitting there waiting outside to get in. But I'm just concerned of the people on Walcott Street, which are one street up, the next street up. There is a neighborhood there, and there's a neighborhood in sound travels, especially at midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning. So that's a concern for me.
And Jim, I would tend to agree with you on that in terms of I think that's a fair request. Would the applicant be amenable to that?
I want to, I will have an answer for you on that when we come back, because we have the window, the order window. So is that the audio you're talking about?
No,
or are
I'm
you
talking about outside speakers or outside
speakers and music
intercom
and
saying,
things
Sally, go to lane 2, there's a rush on 17 nuggets you gotta bring over there. That type of thing. Well, I'm assuming like some of Chick-fil-A has a similar model and they use headphones.
Right, they have headsets.
So as long as we just don't want to have problems with audio, that's all.
Yep.
So, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Any other further notes or questions and all as it relates to this? I know we'll be we'll be continuing it, but just to make sure that they'll be able to come back with as many answers to questions as we got. Anything else? Okay. So then we'd like to. Jim, did you have anything else that was?
No.
Any other questions or
All
concerns
set,
you had?
thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, very good. Okay, so then we'll be doing then so I'd like to entertain then, I guess, a motion to continue the public hearing for 200 Endicott Street, both for the site plan review and signage waivers.
I make a motion, we continue the site plan review and sign waivers for 200 Endicott Street to September 9th, 2025.
Okay, very good. Motion's been made by Jean. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Tim. Okay, very good. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'm going to go into a roll call for this one. Jean?
Yes.
Jim Sears?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And Mike DeCoulis?
Yes.
And I say yes. So, okay, so it has been continued to our next meeting.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, that's all we have on the agenda. Josh, what do we? Anything we want to talk about before I know we want to be respectful of people's time for coming up for our next meeting.
Yep, just so our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, September 9th. It will be here at the Senior Center. And that evening will be the two continuances from tonight, the signage waivers for 165 Endicott Street, the Kelly's Roast Beef, the site plan and signage waivers for Raising Cane's that we just discussed. Signage waiver application for 75 Sylvan Street, and then a continuance for the site plan review for 83 Elm Street. So,
okay.
So those four applications.
Very good. Okay. Everybody planning on being in attendance?
Yes.
So, okay. Yeah, and I actually am going to have to be. I'm going to have to be again. I have to participate remotely for that next coming up meeting. As I mentioned at the outset of this call, I was not planning on participating remotely at this meeting, but I'll be on work travel that day, September 9th. But okay, so very good. Anything further? And I think there's Josh. Is there also something just for those who might still be watching? I think there is there's a town managers forum coming up.
Yeah. Yes, it's this Thursday, the 14th. I don't. Brian, Kelly, the plan director, and Henry, I believe, are attending. So I just don't. I know it's this Thursday. It's either, I think it's 5 or 5:30 to 7 or 7:30. But I'm not 100% sure where it's taking place. But if someone wants to call the planning office tomorrow or email me, I will let you know where it's taking place. But it is this Thursday, and it's either 5 or 5:30.
Okay.
What is it for?
Great. Well,
It's just it's an opportunity to speak with the new town manager about planning and economic development, and maybe at least one other topic. She's been doing, I think it's every week, different departments, just kind of having like an open session discussion with the new town manager about different, like each department kind of has like a top, each week will be like, like there's a DPW night, there's a planning and economic development night, there was a recreation night. So it's just an opportunity for folks in town to speak with her about the different departments and what we do at town hall, so.
Will you send an email when you know the details?
Yes, yep.
Yeah. And it should be also on our town website as well.
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay. Very good.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna. I think unless there's anything further, it's been a long evening. So thank you to the board. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. First by Jean. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tim. Okay, I'll do a roll call. Jean?
Yes.
Jim?
Tim
Yes.
says, oh.
And Mike DeCoulis?
Yes.
I'll check the.
All right, and I say yes. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening. Have a good rest of your August.
I was trying to make sure.
Thanks, you too.
All right.
Okay, thank you.